top five, top five, top five.
Yeah, girl, you ready to do this? You ready to count this thing down? We're doing the top five, her. Yeah, let's set it off with 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, 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 wow. Hello, everyone. Okay, I'm gonna drop this. Hey, welcome back to Ranked Top 5 Lists of Stuff That Don't Matter. I'm your host, Tuong Law. And yeah, we have a bunch of gaming nerds in the corner here today in the pod cavern. Bunch of Ninten-Nerds, Nintendorks. Nindies.
Ninten-Dudes.
That's way better. You want to be the host of this show?
I
After 80 episodes, I still can't come up with good puns on my own show. Anyways, I'm very excited for this episode here today. This is going to be such a geeky podcast, and I'm just very, very excited. Across from me, this person, very elusive, has dodged the pod cavern call back and forth forever now. But you miss his voice. You know his voice. He was on top 5 video game characters you'd want to party with. Is that the one?
Cartoon villains.
Damn it! Pretend I said that instead. Who we have in front of me? We have Alex Toth.
Hey, Tuong. Thanks for inviting me back.
Hey, man. Thanks for accepting the call.
It's been a year. I legit thought that you just didn't like what I did, so I'm glad that didn't happen.
Hey, man. No hard feelings. Yeah, I did ban you for a little while. You didn't know that, but I'm revealing that now to you.
I did some real bad shit on that last one.
You did real bad stuff. Yeah, you started calling people names, and I think you sent letter bombs to people.
Threw a punch, yeah.
Threw a punch.
Like over the table.
Yeah. A couple headlocks. It's an audio show, so I don't know why you did that. No one could see that, but I'm glad you're here.
I'm more relaxed this time, yeah.
We'll see. I'm going to try to push your buttons on this show.
Okay.
Alex, can you introduce the guest beside you?
The guest beside me is Brian. I'm completely unsure of his last name.
Brian Costa, everyone.
Brian Costa.
Here he is. Here he is, everyone. The moment you've been waiting for. A new pod cavern guest joins the fray.
Well, thanks so much for having me, Tom,
Yeah.
and thank you for the introduction. Yeah, I like to play video games, and I love to play Mario games, and I've been really hyped up.
I didn't mention any Mario stuff yet. We haven't introduced I think it should be obvious. I played the theme song.
No.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I figured it'd be good because we need to have at least one Italian in the group.
There we go.
To have legitimacy.
Right?
Yeah. So this is great.
Do we have a plumber?
I did a bit of it. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Who's good at jumping?
I'm all right. I'm a short guy, though. I'm short like Mario, and I can jump really high. So
that's very
that works.
Mario-like.
And I'm Italian. So.
Okay, so you hit all the boxes.
Yes.
Fantastic.
I was just going to say, and then this handsome gentleman across from me, we have Dan Foerster. I think he's been on the podcast before,
Dan Foerster.
Oh, yeah. A few times, maybe.
Oh, boy. This is the biggest troublemaker. Also been banned on the podcast. I basically banned everyone. Brian, just wait for your ban.
That's going to come after this one.
Dan Foerster, thank you for being on the cast.
Thanks.
You know that you are my nemesis many times. You are the you're Tong, basically. But not at all Asian.
A little bit.
Yeah,
A little bit.
A little bit. Dan.
Yeah.
Dan? That's it. I like
Yeah,
that.
it sounds good.
I like that.
Wadan.
What's your Dan accent? How does Dan sound like?
Wah! Like that?
Good.
Pretty good?
That's fucking good. That's good.
Not
Better
bad.
than my Mario accent that I dropped.
Like that. A little bit of Mickey in there, I think.
Oh, hello. Yes, that's very Mickey.
Oh, boy.
Well, wahoo. I think that's better.
Oh, that was
That's
good.
a little bit better.
That was really good.
I've been practicing for days. Guys, we're here to talk about Mario games. Super Mario games, in fact. And we're here to celebrate March 10th. I only figured out this was the thing last year. When I saw Twitter, people are like, this is Mario Day. I'm like, what's Mario Day? And it's March 10th. MAR 1010. Yeah,
that's right.
And I was like, oh, well, that's a good excuse to
That's
make a
really
podcast.
good. Yeah.
So I waited an entire year to make this episode, and I'm so happy that we have a bunch of Ninten-Dudes at the table here today. Before we get started, of course, we want to celebrate Mario. Mario has been like obviously the biggest juggernaut video game character possibly of all time. I don't know who else really compares to
That's Sonic or Erasure.
Sonic.
Oh, Sonic. Yeah,
Sonic's just rolling a tear. Although he's very successful. He's rolling in that money right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Wait
is.
till the Mario movie comes out, I guess.
Everyone knows Mario, though.
Everyone knows
does.
Everyone knows Mario.
He's international gaming hero.
He's been around for, I don't know, what was it? I wrote this down.
88, I believe.
81.
81, wow.
Yeah, 81. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's right.
Miyamoto created this character. Short, pudgy, Italian plumber. Here's one thing that I remembered and I want to include. Originally thought to be 39 years old, and then Nintendo randomly, I think it was a year ago, I could be wrong, a while back, was like, nope, Mario is 26 years old. And everyone's like, what? That's a weird age. I don't know.
That is
I look
a
at
weird
Mario,
age.
I'm like, that's not a
It's
26-year-old.
kind of ageless.
Yeah, he
he's
looks like
ageless.
he's in his 40s. Come on.
I know. It's just like, wow. Mario's, yeah. And you'd think he'd be a little bit more fit. Not to say that he's a fat dude, but he's a little pudgy.
He's pudgy. He's athletic, though, man.
He's
that guy
athletic
can
as
run
shit.
forever.
He can do everything.
He's lovably pudgy.
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
He has a superhuman vertical, though. His jump goes beyond his own height. No one can do that.
Well, Luigi can.
Well, Luigi, yeah. But I mean, Luigi, you
Yeah,
know.
well, Luigi, yes.
He's the higher jumper, technically.
Luigi can jump higher, but he's
Yeah.
scared of jumping, I'd assume.
Yeah.
Scared of his own shadow.
Yeah.
But before we get started, I really want to celebrate Mario games because it's been around with us for so long. There's been so many different games out there. And today, let's talk about the best Super Mario games. Ground rules. It has to have Mario in it. Probably should have Mario in the title of the game.
Yes.
Another ground rule I would say he has to be the main character of that game, probably. At least, I would say that, I'm going to go ahead and say Luigi's Mansion is not a Mario game. That's a Luigi game. Doesn't count.
Yeah.
I would even say Yoshi's Island or Yoshi's Story will not count, even though it's Super Mario
World 2.
whatever. Yoshi's Island.
You don't play as Mario.
You don't play as Mario. You play as Yoshi.
You stolen this from me. I love Yoshi's Island.
Listen, I love Yoshi's Island too. That would make a top 5 for me for sure, but we're celebrating Mario, not baby Mario.
Helpless Mario.
That's
Yeah.
right. What other ground rules do we want to come up with here?
Well, you pretty much laid it out, right?
I think we're talking about
Has
some
Mario in the
fair.
title.
We're talking about the platformers, of course,
Yeah.
but we're also talking about, it could be his sports games, his kart games, party games, whatever other games he's been in. If we go around the table and we're like, I don't know if that's a Mario game, I think we stop it in the moment and we get that person to nominate something else instead.
That makes sense.
Okay, yeah.
Sound good?
Yeah.
Sound fair? Can I get a wahoo?
Wahoo!
Sounds like someone's getting tickled. All right, just like every episode of Ranked, we're going to go around the table 3 times, nominating 3 nominations each, making a master list of 12, and whittling that down to a top 5 Mario game list. Here we go, I'll go first. I think I already know what you guys are going to nominate. I have a strong feeling. I'm going to go with Guns A-Blazin'. Guns
Guns
are
A-Blazin'.
blazing right now. Quite possibly my favorite Mario game of all time. I am a little biased, I think, because it's a lot of it's rooted in nostalgia and how much I played as a kid. But one of my favorite systems of all time is the Super Nintendo.
Oh, I know.
The SNES.
Oh, okay.
We all know what he's going to
Ground rules too. No compilation games.
Yeah.
fair.
Yes.
Yeah,
So no games that include 3 other games. That's cheating.
Yeah.
That's cheating.
Mario All-Stars
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah. I might have a question about that later, but
Okay.
we're
it
good.
comes up. If it comes up.
If it comes up.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
All
Okay,
right.
yeah.
Interesting. Super Smash Brothers. Also
I think
doesn't-
Yeah,
I think I know.
that's
I think I know.
All right. I'm talking about the one, the only Super Mario World.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that's that surprising. I don't know if that's a hot take. Probably not. I think this game is damn near perfect or just perfect.
Yep.
It is one of the most perfect video games I've ever played. Such a tight platformer, very creative. They introduced so many different classic Mario characters in the game. There's secret levels in Super Mario World. They have one of my favorite power-ups in Mario, which is the feather.
You mean the cape
The
feather?
cape.
The cape feather.
Cape
Yes,
feather.
the cape
Yeah,
feather.
yeah,
You get the
yeah.
feather, he gets a cape. Doesn't make any sense.
Yep.
You get to run, you get to fly, you get to do that crazy ground pound thing where you get to,
The billowy thing?
Yeah,
you get
yeah.
parachuting.
And if
Mario,
you time it right,
yeah.
you can pretty much go forever.
Oh, yeah,
you-
exactly.
Actually, infinite.
Yeah, Mario's great. He can't take any fall damage. He
Yeah.
just, unless you fall in a pit, I guess.
Yeah.
Then you die.
Infinite.
Yeah. Other fun stuff is I really love in this game the Yoshi stuff. in Super Mario World too. They have so much fun with like different colored Yoshis, especially in the secret world, the secret star world of Super Mario World. So
It's all part of the plot, actually.
is it?
Yeah.
Tell
yeah.
me.
Well, basically in that game, Bowser knows that Yoshi has helped him in the previous Super Mario Bros. 3. Helped him defeat Bowser, essentially, in a way. And so what Bowser did, because the whole plot of the game is Mario, Luigi, Princess Toadstool, but we all know her as Peach now.
Yeah, we do.
Wanted to go to Dinosaur Island, and Dinosaur Land, that's what it's called, and just go on a vacation. But Bowser decided to show up, and he ends up stealing, before Mario and Luigi get there, he ends up stealing Princess Toadstool, and then he actually casts a spell on all the Yoshis and entraps them in eggs. That's why they're in eggs.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's actually a spell that holds them in there. That's why anytime you beat one of the like castles, you see the little egg, and it's like, thank you, but he's still stuck in that egg.
Wow, I didn't know enough about
spell's
the
not
Super
broken.
Mario lore.
Yeah.
This is good.
Yeah, that's deep lore.
Yeah.
Do
That's
all
deep lore.
Italians know about the lore of Super Mario?
We have to. Yeah, it's part of their upbringing.
Yeah, I just think it's such a fun game, and there's just so much to it. I feel like I can gush about it a lot too, but like I don't know what else there is to say. If you played it before, it's also on the Nintendo Switch right now.
Wow.
The SNES, like
Like
Switch
the virtual
Online.
console,
Yeah, the virtual console
yeah.
right now.
I don't know what they call it that, but
Yeah.
the SNES app for Switch, yeah.
It's just so tightly. It's like a tight platform. It's perfect.
Yeah,
It's perfect
yeah.
in every way.
Yeah, like super well developed as well.
Yeah.
One of the things I just want to mention about that game is that compared to the previous Mario games, the Mario's momentum, when he's moving, like a lot of people don't really notice this at first, but when you move Mario in different Mario games, he accelerates and decelerates at different speeds. And in Super Mario World, he was one of the most controllable, like clean.
Yes.
You put an input to the right and he goes right away. He's not like clunky or kind of on ice. And it's one of the games where you could do a perfect pivot too, where if you're holding right on the D-pad and you let go of all your inputs and then, so for example, hit left on the D-pad, Mario maintains his momentum and switches the other way, opposed from doing that like, when you like run and then slide a little bit. Yeah, you can do a perfect pivot in that game. And it's just like so well developed and so clean. I mean, a lot of games were control-wise were clunky, so that game stood out as like a very well developed.
Exactly.
game.
And I want to shout out how vibrant the game is
Oh,
too.
it's
The
very,
colors
yeah.
and stuff, and
Oh,
as
yeah.
well as the music, baby. I'm gonna try. All Mario games have amazing music, and some games have more amazing music than others. But I would say, like overall, Mario music's better than most video game music.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna try to play a clip from every nomination. I think to see if we can.
Makes
This
sense.
is
Oh,
so
okay,
good.
cool.
This is
All
so
right.
fun. I love this. So nostalgic. Alex.
One thing you probably read it while maybe researching this game.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's still if it's still true or not, but apparently it's Shigeru Miyamoto's favorite Mario game.
I believe that.
Yeah,
I
it's
believe
his
that.
favorite.
I didn't know that, but I would believe it. Yeah, because it seems like he put the whole team put so much into that game, and it was just so beautiful.
Perfect. It's perfect. And I love how they roll credits at the end of the game too. You beat the game and they're like starring Boo or whatever. You're like, oh, you guys.
Yeah.
Alex.
So I'm a little younger than Tuong. I might be a little younger than everyone here. So I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go a little more recent. So my personal favorite Mario game is Super Mario Odyssey.
Whoa, here we go, baby.
And finally talk about this game.
It's my favorite Mario game, not because it's particularly difficult as a platform or anything. It's just beautiful, and there's so many things to do. The density of just things you can look at, things you can find. Every single corner has something that you're able to do. Right from when like you're dropped into the Cascade Kingdom, I believe it's called, with the waterfalls. You have Cappy, you get to throw your cap, you turn into a dinosaur pretty much immediately.
Yeah.
I was on a plane last year and I was playing this game, Super Mario Odyssey, and there was a couple kids beside me and they were looking on like very interested, and I was able to basically just give them the game. They picked it up right away. They were having a blast.
You gave these strangers the game?
Yeah.
Wow, you're a nice person. I'd be like, hands off my Switch. Did you clean those?
If I'm being honest, they got it like super greasy, like really greasy. Because they're
Don't
like
trust
6.
anybody.
But the idea that like I was 26 at the time, and I can have such a fun time with the game, and I can hand it over to a kid who's 6 years old, and they can have just as much fun with the game. I think that's an incredibly made game, and it's just really beautiful visually, and it's just a ton of fun. Difficulty, it's not there, but that's not really what I look for in a Mario game.
Yeah.
Well-
those games are all about joy and
Yes.
happiness and fun,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, true.
Yeah.
Oh,
This
I'm
is
getting
music
chills.
from it.
Chills. Yes. I think that
I thought you were gonna play Mayor Pauline's song.
I was gonna do that too.
Oh,
That's
that would've been
too.
good,
Hey,
yeah.
listen, this whole game has amazing music. I think.
Oh yeah.
And amazing costumes as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the costume game in Mario Odyssey is insane.
I love that there's so much like just cosmetic, and like you said, there's so much depth to that game. There's so much to do, so many unlockables, like, and I mean, like the moons, we all know where the moon idea came from, right? Came from Super Mario World. You can actually collect moons in Super Mario World.
Yeah.
So they had to bring the
Yes,
moons
sir.
back. So I thought it was really cool. But yeah, you can dress up like the Mario 64 Mario.
Yep.
Like there's the one costume for that. I'm like, oh my God.
There's a costume for everything. And
Yeah.
it's all legacy stuff too.
It's
It's not
great.
like random. It's just like, oh, he's been in these costumes before. Maybe in like looked different back in the past, but they modernize it and make it look really, really great.
Yeah. I think they did the themes for each world better than they've done in almost any game.
Yeah.
I mean, Super Mario World had its limitations, but it did have their themes for each land that you went to.
Yep.
But yeah, the themes were just so cool in that game and like really immersive.
Yeah.
Yes.
And every world had its own population, which had its own traits, its own characteristics. The sand world had the dog that you could run around with. The food world had the forks and the spoons that you could talk to.
Yeah.
And the one thing I did want to mention that I forgot was there was really seamless integration of old style Mario puzzles
Yes.
that you could do.
Yeah.
But the really interesting thing is you never really had to. You could enter the pipe, you could do the old school Mario puzzles, or you could just wall jump and get over the ledge and you had no reason to do it.
Yeah.
But the ability that it grants you that sort of choice
Yeah.
is really, really cool and something that I don't think I've seen in a Mario game prior to that.
Yes, I love the 2D stuff in
Yep.
Super Mario Odyssey.
yeah, it
It just
was
looks
great.
so good.
Especially with all the different like outfits too. They
Yeah.
incorporate that into
Yeah.
the 2D design. That was so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to give a shout out to because I obviously I think we all had this on our list. Maybe I'm not
Oh, yeah,
sure.
yeah.
But the mobility in Super Mario Odyssey is incredible. It's
Yep.
so tight. It's probably the best 3D Mario mobility game.
100%.
And
Yeah.
the amount of stuff you can do with Cappy is just insane. Like, you can time like all these crazy jumps, wall jump onto Cappy or like triple jump and then
Yeah.
or hold Cappy up and then like dash towards Cappy and then like gives you an extra jump. It's like
Yeah.
really insane stuff. And you spoke about how easy the game is, and that's true, but that's just for the main story, right? So the main story is really about like, let's just have fun. It's so joyous, whatever. This
Yeah.
is Mario, baby. And then if you spend more time with the game and go into like the other like hundreds of other moons that you can get in the game, there's more worlds to explore, as well as the game gets fucking hard too.
Yeah. Really
And
hard
it's like-
platformers.
but like
Yeah.
in a satisfying way. It's just like, oh, for all the people who just want to enjoy Mario, here it is. Do it. There's the main story.
Yeah.
For you other weirdos, here's like the real Mario game. And you're like, wow, this is insane.
That's actually, that's a really good point. One of my friends spent, I believe, 8 hours. There was a hidden pile of coins on the level where you have to race not the penguin people, but you have to race down the slide, like the ice
Oh,
slide.
yes.
There was a ledge up at the top with a pile of coins, and he spent literally 8 hours because you have to hit it frame perfect to get up to the top. And like that's there in the game if you want it. So I think that's really cool.
Wow.
Yeah, and I just have to say, because I just actually beat the game a few days ago.
wow.
I've been
Oh, cool.
holding off on playing Mario Odyssey. I'm a huge Mario fan, but I was waiting for just the right moment, and I actually kind of waited too long. And then this podcast was coming up. I'm like, no, this is perfect. I need to play through this. I have to shout out that dragon boss. How cool was that
It's
boss
so
That's
cool.
fight?
really sweet.
It's so cool.
I mean, the dragon boss fight and even Bowser at the end, like those are some
Oh,
of
that
the
was
funnest
so cool.
but like boss fights in any Mario game, like come on, so cool,
And
so
the
well
fact,
done.
and I think we might have missed this, but the fact that you can possess like so many
Anything.
different things in that
Oh.
game is like insane. Like possessing anything from a Goomba. Of course you can do a Goomba, but then you're like, you can possess meat. You
can
become
be-
a
Yeah.
piece of meat, and you're like, what the fuck? Or like Taxi, or like of course Bowser at the very end. And then
Yeah.
when you do
Yeah.
that, I just like,
Best power up.
That was the best.
That was the best one. That
Yeah.
was so cool.
I just like cried. That was the year that Breath of the Wild came out,
Yeah.
and I remember Super Mario Odyssey. Even though I think Breath of the Wild is like one of the most like it's a fantastic.
It's my
game.
favorite game of all time, actually.
But Odyssey won out for me because it's just a pure spark of joy, and we don't get that enough in our world these days. And it's just like, this is just happiness in a video game, and here you go. And I love it so much.
Not too punishing either. It didn't punish you too
No.
hard. So.
No.
Until the later levels.
Yeah.
Brian, what do you got as your first nomination?
Okay, well, my first was actually Super Mario World, but I'm going to tell you what my next was, and that is Super Mario RPG: The Legend of the Seven Stars.
Oh my god!
Oh, yeah, I'm busting this game out.
Deep cut as
Okay.
the first nomination.
I'm going to talk about why this game is so good. This game is the first Mario RPG. It was actually designed by a lot of people that are from Square Enix, and it was like an independent company at the time, but they were somewhat working for Square Enix. So, yeah, it's Mario, but like I'm a huge fan of RPGs, but it's like Mario, but Final Fantasy style. Although it's not themed anything other than Mario. Like the world itself is absolutely beautiful. It's like one of the most immersive worlds after Super Mario World itself came out. So, it's on the Super Nintendo. Great game. Actually came out just before the N64 was released.
Oh.
Yeah, so it kind of came out at the end of the life of Super Nintendo. But yeah, this game allows you to go basically go from world to world. You start off in the Mushroom Kingdom. The plot of this game is basically Smithy, which has never been introduced in a Mario game before. He's like this giant sword, actually takes over Bowser's castle. Yeah, he's like a gigantic sword. Well, that's where they come in from. Smithy himself is kind of just like this big metal ball like guy with a big white mustache and whatnot. So he kind of resembles that first boss in Mario 64, you know, the big bomb guy with the kind of looks like him actually. So anyways, he steals Bowser's castle. So Bowser gets his butt kicked right at the beginning. So it does start off with Bowser trying to steal Princess Toadstool. So he has Peach, and then Mario's trying to save him. And then all of a sudden, when you go in there to like fight Bowser, this giant sword comes from the sky and then kicks Bowser out of his castle. You don't know that right away, but you find out later on. But yeah, and then they're harnessing the power of the seven stars. Wow. And it's basically they're stealing everyone's wishes. They're stealing the ability to make wishes and utilize that power to take over the world.
So it's a turn-based, you said Final Fantasy, right?
Yeah.
So old school Final Fantasy, so just turn-based battling, that kind of thing?
But here's the interesting thing about this game is different from like what a Final Fantasy, aside from Final Fantasy 6, technically 3, but 6, it allows special mechanics in game. So like, for example, when you're in battle and you're Mario and someone goes to attack you, if you press A at the right time, you can do what's called like a perfect block and you can reduce damage.
Yes.
But if you don't time it right, then you take full damage. Also, when you're doing specific attacks, if you do button inputs like time your inputs right, you amplify the damage or you do more damage.
That's interesting because that sounds like a lot like other RPG Mario games too, but this might have been the first of this, right?
Yeah, it was the first of the series
cool.
to implement that, like, you know, that interactiveness other than just going through a menu, picking the best attack at that time. Yeah. Like if you were skilled with your timing, you could, you know, amplify your attack or you can amplify your defense. Really cool at that time.
Like maintains your attention, I guess.
Exactly.
Right?
Not a lot of games were doing that at that time. So yeah.
Did you guys play this? I've
never played it, to be honest. I've only heard about it.
Played a little bit. I played it on the SNES console on the Switch.
Oh,
Yeah.
is it on the Switch?
Cool. It is, yeah.
Yes.
I'd always heard good things, so I wanted to play it a little bit.
Let's play a little bit of music. I'm curious of the music game.
Music's
that we got.
great.
I just this is just
It's basically Square Enix making it, so you know the music's gonna be
cool.
great.
This is just called the Legend of the Seven Stars soundtrack. I'm playing it from the beginning. Here we go.
Oh, this is like the first level. Very fun beats. Yeah.
We're at the club,
Right.
sort of like a happy club.
This is very like it almost reminds you of like Super Mario Sunshine in a sense, right? It's
Yeah.
very Mario-esque.
Yeah.
But the lands were beautiful. Like if you haven't explored or haven't seen any of the worlds, check it out. Like so well developed.
I'm into this. I'm gonna play this. I didn't know it was on the virtual console.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
I'm gonna keep calling it that. I don't really actually know what it's called. Dan, what do you got? First nomination.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna go with. So it's you'll know right away, I think, when I describe it this way. So, like the first like 3D environment game I ever played.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Here we go.
I remember playing it at Zellers at Highland Hills Mall in Kitchener.
I just heard the last Zellers is closing up this year.
Oh my god.
That's how old we are.
Yeah, and I remember walking up to the little booth there, and of course, it's got a little crowd around it, just waiting for a turn. It is Super Mario 64.
Yep. Oh,
Yeah.
man. Oh, man.
And I just have like a lot of, I guess I don't really have a lot of specifics exactly, but it just more so like the fond memories of playing it. Probably one of the first games where I really like dove deep into, unlocking as much as I could. And it was also one of those games where I came back to it a few times as well. I might have to like take a break and then come back to it. But yeah, I remember like I do remember a couple specific things. Like I really remember being like in like the ice world with the penguins and having to go down that like that ice slide and having to do that a lot. Correct me if I'm wrong. There's something about having to like carry like the like penguin baby or something,
Yeah,
right?
bring it back to the
I remember like struggling with that as a
mini
kid.
quests within worlds and stuff like that.
That's where that meme comes from, right? Like, don't talk to me or my son ever again.
yeah.
But yeah, it was such a fun game. I remember I so badly wanted a Nintendo 64 after playing that. And I don't think I got one for like maybe 1 to 2 years after that.
I also think it's one of those games that you could play at McDonald's back in the day too.
Oh, could
Yeah.
you? Okay, yeah.
It's that game and Ocarina of Time, which is bullshit because it reset every 15
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah.
So as soon as you get to play the game, you're like, oh shit. But Mario 64 was great because you got to actually play some of it and like get to feel it out. What do you guys think about Mario 64?
I actually never had an N64. My first console was a GameCube, so I would play the N64 at my cousin's house. And it was really the first game that I got that sense of wonder from. Like, I'd never seen a video game that could be that big and that immersive. And like you said, like I don't have any specific memories, but the feeling of the game, like that first level where the bombs are running at you, you have to go up the little like platform thing, you run up, you beat the big bomb guy, like that level, great memories. And also is it Rainbow Cruise where you have to fly around and get all the red coins in the sky?
That sounds familiar.
You're in the
it does,
cathedral and you like look up and you enter through, I believe that I could be wrong, but you look up and you enter and like, I remember that level being, I didn't think a video game level could be that difficult.
Yeah. That's where you have the hat with the wings and you're going
Yeah,
for it. Yeah.
yeah.
So you're right. You do look up at the picture,
Yeah.
the picture in the ceiling, and
you're
it brings
right.
you into that. Yeah.
That's
really
nuts.
cool. One of my fondest memories of this game is in the first level, and it's, cruising around, and then you see this Koopa. It's like, oh, I got to jump on him, right? And oh, what's that? A shell popped out. What the heck? Okay, well, I'm going to jump on the shell and kick it. I jump on the shell, and then, oh my God, I'm surfing.
Yes,
yeah.
yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Like one of the greatest things. I think I actually spent so much time just surfing around the level, just enjoying surfing with it. I actually tried to like surf my way up to the top, and I eventually made my way up to the top where the bomb guy was. So awesome. And then, of course, the Bowser fights.
Yeah.
But
Yes, yeah.
even before the Bowser fights, the platforming that got those levels, the dungeons basically
Yes,
before
yeah.
the boss fight, super fun.
Yeah.
It's fun to like rotate the stick and like spin Bowser around.
Yes.
So much fun.
Yes.
The game is like iconic on so many levels, but it's the first time Mario went from 2D to 3D, right? So there was a big like, oh man, what are they gonna do? Because
Yeah.
remember when Sonic did that? Like it was to like kind of going back to bashing Sonic, but it was just like to lesser extent. And
Yeah,
then,
for sure.
Super Mario 64 came out. It's just like, okay, well, they're basically taking this iconic character and putting him in a new environment, and they did something so interesting with it that future games, including Odyssey, just built on the building blocks of what Mario 64 did, right?
Yes, yeah.
It's one of those like, oh, are they doing the Mario 64 thing? It's going to be the 3D Mario game and you get to explore. It's kind of open world, quote unquote.
It was. It
Because
was
you get to
actually
like
the first
explore the
open world.
castle, jump into a painting, and then, I have amazing memories of Super Mario 64.
Yeah.
I think, hot take, N64 is a bad console. I think nowadays it's like, well, it was cool for its time, but it does not hold up. Super Mario
There's a lot of charm to it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Fuck
charm.
Yeah.
that controller. I hate that controller. I know people love it. I don't know why. I hate it. But Super Mario 64 is one of the few games on that console that I'm like, yep, I'd still play that. That's
Oh,
still good.
100%.
Still good.
Yeah.
Super fun.
Still good. Let's go. Here. Let's see. I have a Super Mario 64 soundtrack here. First track. Here we go. Okay. Great soundtrack. Oh, and you can pull his nose.
Yeah, you could. Yeah.
You could actually make his face stay a specific way. As soon as I heard that, I'm like, oh wait, this is where you see his
Yeah.
face, and you can like control his like facial features, make him smile and frown.
First time I triple jumped in a Mario game was like Super Mario 64, and
Yeah.
I'm like, what? He can do that?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
What is
yeah.
the physics behind that? I don't get it.
You can, you triple jump into the castle right at the beginning with
Yeah.
the painting of Peach.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah.
What about did you ever, or did anyone ever 100% that game?
No, I never
I didn't own it.
120 stars.
I might have like one of the times I got back into the game, like I went in like deep and I like, did as much as I could. So there's a great chance that I did. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well,
or close to it.
I do remember completing that because that was one of the first games where I'm like, I mean, aside from the Super Nintendo games, it was like a Mario game where I'm like, I need to beat everything. So I spent lots of time with my brothers beating it. And we finally collected all the 120 stars. And do you guys know what happens? Remember?
I don't.
No,
I don't know.
Okay.
Spoilers, everyone.
Spoilers, here we go. So when you're standing out front of the castle, before you walk in, before you even go across the bridge, if you're standing at the front of the bridge, when you collect all the stars, it actually unlocks a cannon to the right of the bridge. You know the cannons that you hop in and it shoots you?
Yep.
It opens up a cannon, you hop in that cannon, it shoots you on top of the castle, and guess who's standing there? Yoshi. Yoshi is waiting at the top of the castle. So you get a few things. You talk to Yoshi, he gives you 99 lives. He gives you the special star jump. And then also there's one of the caps with the hats. So you can like hit the cap and you can actually fly around the starting area.
Oh, cool.
But the star jump is when you do your triple jump, Mario does like a million flips and he's got stars surrounding him. And it gives you invincibility when you see the stars.
Oh, that's so cool.
What do you think it feels like if you were to catch a star in real life? If you were to, like, you know, hit a coin block and you felt a star, what does that feel like? You're invincible for 30 seconds.
I would feel
like-
invincible.
Yeah, it must be like cocaine on drugs, or like the most drugged up feeling ever, right? Like I have
Well,
to
I
imagine.
mean, like,
It probably feels the same way I felt after top 5 budget beers.
so drunk.
Pretty much, yeah.
just feel hot and on fire. You know?
Yeah, and then you lose it and you're like, I need more.
Yeah, it's like PCP for sure.
That Stardust.
Let's move on to round 2 here. God, there's so many games.
There's so much. I'm like getting worried about not being able to do like 7 games because I'm so excited.
I trust the people at this table to nominate the important games, but I feel like there are definitely games that I'll be like, I'm sad that we won't be able to really talk about. But I want to move on because there is a platform I want to say, but I trust that you guys will say it instead. Instead, I'm going to go with the Mario Kart game. Ooh, now, this was a tricky one for me because I had to weigh it out in my mind. Nostalgia, gameplay, and what I just had the most fun with through all the Mario Karts. And I had to really think about this because there was basically a short list of 4 that I just kept switching in my mind what the best Mario Kart game is. I'm not sure if this is a hot take or not, and I don't think it is. I really thought about this long and hard, and I do think, well, I guess it's not objectively, but in my mind, objectively, the best Mario Kart game it's Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's it. I'm looking around. At least Brian's agreeing with me. I'm getting a no from Alex. Dan
Is that the Switch one?
It's the Switch
That's
one,
the
but it's the
Switch
Wii U
one,
one,
yeah.
but the improved version of it, or like
Got
the Switch.
lots of
Yeah.
extra things.
So the reason why I picked
Yeah.
this one, you guys can pick other Mario Karts, of course, in your nominations. The reason why I picked this is because it is Mario Kart at its the most refined level and fair as well. Other Mario Karts that I thought of, I'm like, oh, this is really great, but the gameplay is actually kind of broken.
Yeah.
If I don't want to name out games because in case you guys say it, but there's some Mario Kart games where you can take shortcuts that basically break the game.
Yeah.
There is drifting mechanics in the other games that also break the game. If you can't do that, then you won't have fun.
Yeah.
In Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, they put everything that's fun about Mario Kart and make the most tightly playable Mario Kart game with all your favorite items, most of them anyways, and like all the tracks. Basically, like there's like, I don't even remember how many tracks there is. I think there's like 40 some tracks in the game.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
there's a lot.
ridiculous.
I mean, I
amount of
played it a
tracks.
lot, but I didn't realize there was that many.
What I also really like about Mario Kart 8 is they also have, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
It's
Yeah.
stupid beautiful. And
Best
especially
looking
like,
one.
obviously the DLC is included in
The deluxe.
Switch, this deluxe
Yeah.
version, and they add an extra boost in the deluxe version. There's like very minor
Purple.
purple boost.
The drift boost, yeah.
And little tweaks of Mario Kart 8 that I think it makes it just more superior than the other ones. And also, a big thing about Mario Kart 8 is the accessibility in Mario Kart 8 too. A lot of people love playing Mario Kart, people from different skill levels or whatever, but always traditionally, if you got a group of people together and if you were better than I was at Mario Kart, then always you'll just steamroll me.
Yeah.
If usually you whip out Mario Kart at a party or just a hangout gathering just to have fun, right?
Yep.
So for the people who just want to just be there and have fun, guess what? You get to have like 3 accessibility options. That's just like, oh, this person can't hit walls. They always move forward. And those people have I've been told, I don't play with those, but I've been told they have just a way better time with it, right?
Yeah.
Because then they can actually just enjoy the game for what it is.
Yeah, I can speak to that for a moment. So,
Yeah.
like, this is a game that I love to play with my wife, and she doesn't really play a lot of video games, but she loves playing Mario Kart, and she'll have those settings turned on just because she's not really used to, any sort of like movement control with with modern video games. But with those things turned on, she can play, and she'll have a blast.
Yeah, and still compete with you.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like,
Still compete. Yeah.
The roster is fucking huge. The customization for every card is beautiful in that
Yeah.
game too. There's really minor tweaks that you can make. They but they keep things like the motorcycle stuff, the gliding, the underwater stuff, and then they introduce like a zero gravity a kind of small mechanic within the game too. It's I love it. I love
Super
it.
cool.
It's the
Yeah.
best. Yeah.
I thought especially the underwater, one of the first levels I did when I got it was underwater, and I was absolutely just blown away by how crisp it was. Like, usually underwater, obviously, like when you go underwater, they kind of just change the graphics, and like you're underwater, but like it's not that realistic.
Yeah.
In Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I suppose it was so crisp. You're underwater, but it's still really clean. All of the worldscapes are like really, really beautiful. So I thought it was really good. It's my second favorite.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
I gotta talk about the drifting, okay?
Yeah.
In any of the games, this is the cleanest that the drifting ever gets, and this is why I totally agree that it's the best one. Because there's so much you can do it. You have that purple drift too. Now, not everyone can do it.
Not every cart can do it. I'm pretty sure.
Because they have the light characters, the medium characters, and the heavy characters.
Yeah.
And then specific carts can do it, but I believe it's mainly carts that go over a specific threshold with top speed. That's what actually.
Yeah.
So even the light characters can get it, but they have to crank their top speed. But it's harder for a light character because the light characters usually have more acceleration.
Yeah.
And that just like building your car, building the character with the car, just feels like so customizable that it's just more than what you can do in the other games. Because like some of the other games, I won't even mention it, but it's like you're either a heavy character, you have top speed, but you don't have acceleration.
Yeah.
Bowser and Donkey Kong have always been that top speed character. If you mess up though,
you're fucked.
It's going to take forever to get back, and good luck getting back. Right. So
in the competitive scene, I jumped into like an online Mario Kart like match, and I'm just like, I just get fucking steamrolled. People out online are just insane. 200cc is a completely different game in Mario Kart.
That's
like
right.
It's just like as soon as you put 200cc on, you're like, oh, you have
use
to
the brake.
You
have to brake,
which I
yeah.
never used in Mario Kart.
But it basically goes from drifting to drifting with the brake. I actually like stayed away from 200cc for a while, but then I got heavily into it, and I played it competitively online actually.
Wow.
Yeah, I love the 200cc. There's like a little hack that you can do where you actually get a crazy like really low top speed game or top speed cart and really fast acceleration, because you're already driving so fast you don't need really high top speed, you just need good acceleration.
Wow.
And so that got me really far online, so it was cool.
Poof. Love it.
Pro tip right there.
Alex, what do you got? What do you have?
I'm going to go with this one. I think this is the one I wanted to get some consensus on for compilation games. So my choice is Super Mario Bros. Deluxe for the Game Boy Color.
Super Mario Bros. Deluxe. What is that?
that's
What is
legit.
that?
What Super Mario Bros. Deluxe for the Game Boy Color is it's a port of the original 1985 NES game, Super Mario Bros.
Yeah.
Along with a lot of additional features.
Is that with, like the Lost levels too?
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Okay.
So the big thing with Super Mario Bros. Deluxe is it also includes what's known as the Lost levels. Now, if I understand correctly, and you guys will probably be able to say this better, the Lost levels were supposed to be released as a standalone game.
Yes.
It's
But it
supposed
was-
to be
yes.
Super Mario Brothers
2,
2.
but they felt
Yeah,
that it was
okay,
too
yeah.
difficult for North American audiences, right?
Yeah, it was. So it
Sounds
was
right.
released for the Famicom disk system in Japan, and it was actually in Japan marketed as like Super Mario Brothers 2. But when they brought it over to like Nintendo of America, I think one of the high ups in Nintendo of America played it, and it's like he got like mad. He couldn't beat the first level or something like that. And he's just like, no, people will not like this.
What
here.
a noob.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
So I got the Game Boy Color, I believe, when I was 6 years old. It cost $115 with tax, because that's when HST was split up in 15%. I bought it with my own money with like a literal bag of coins that I put
Nice.
on the counter.
Nice.
$115. And the first game that I ever got was Super Mario Bros. Deluxe.
Right.
I 100%ed the game when I was 15 years old.
Wow.
Nice.
It took me 9 years.
And you did it.
And I did it. I beat the entire game, which is not like it's actually quite challenging, but it's not incredibly challenging.
Yep.
I beat the lost levels.
Okay.
But also in this game, there is the deluxe mode, perhaps.
Okay.
So what you have to do: 1, you have to get 8 red coins in each of the levels.
Yep.
2, you have to find the hidden Yoshi egg in each of the levels. 3, you have to get a particular high score in each of the levels. 4, you have to beat each of the levels in a particular time. 5, once you have I believe 100,000 points in the original game,
God.
you unlock You versus Boo, which is essentially a race, like a race mechanic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So you have to
Like
beat Boo.
beat a ghost.
Yeah, exactly. You have to beat a
basically, one of
ghost.
those, time attack ghost things. Yeah.
So actually, I think that it's only score and then the time attack is the Boo. But I managed to do every single piece of that game. And I don't know if those pieces are even good. Like the Yoshi egg one was absurd. You would get hints and it would kind of show you in the level where it is. And it's literally just a block that's completely hidden and you have to find it.
Can I ask you a
wow.
question
Yeah.
just so we can make sure that we're going to lock this down as an official nomination? Super Mario Brothers Deluxe, is it when you launch the game, do you have like 2 separate options to play like the original and then the lost levels?
No.
Or is it just like a one game thing?
You have to beat the original game before the lost levels unlock.
Okay. All right.
I'd say that's legit.
Yeah.
Just
Okay
because
with that?
pretty much
All right.
every Mario game, if you want to get the extra levels, you have to beat the core
I'm okay
game.
with that.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
seems
yeah.
like a remake
Yeah.
with additional content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
some,
I would count it as
Basically
its own
like
original
Mario Kart 8
entry.
Deluxe, right? Because that Mario Kart 8 came out for the Wii, and then they just released the same exact game with a few extra things and some levels and characters.
Right. Yeah.
and I feel like there's just a ton of like that's an insane amount of content to put on a Game Boy Color cartridge. Like it
Yeah.
was a ton of stuff you could do. For the Nintendo, like I don't think there was a ton of difference in the port. They animated the lava, they animated the water. The screen resolution is obviously a bit different because it's Game Boy Color, but otherwise it's the same game.
Yeah.
And I found it like it was satisfying for me as a kid to play. At 6 years old,
Yep.
I could play it, but then at 15, I was still playing, still
got
trying to
it.
beat the game, and it still like held up. I think it's a
Nice,
game
Nice.
that
You
really
still
holds
got
up.
that Game Boy Color?
I don't.
Let's go.
I have a Game Boy Advance SP that's
Nice. That one's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. You got that light.
it's got the backlight, which is really important. Yeah.
Game changer.
The worm light was thrown out with the Game Boy Advance. So
Brian, what do you have? Second nomination. Here we go.
Second nomination, because you guys have talked about a bunch of ones that I want to nominate. I'm going to go with my next one that would be down the list, and that's actually Super Mario Bros. 3.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank
Nice.
God. Of course this
Yeah,
would be
we
have to
nominated.
talk
We have
about
to
this
yeah.
game.
Talk about it.
Okay, first thing, let's get, the most obvious thing out why I love this game. When I was younger, I stumbled upon the flute. I didn't even mean to grab it. I just found it. And then I was brought right to the end of the game and I beat it and I was like, wow, that game is really short. What the heck? So anyway, it was really cool. I didn't even mean to do it. I was just like jumping and I would always hold up when I would jump and I just went behind the block. I'm like, oh my God. And I had to call my brother over. I'm like, my character, I'm behind this thing. You usually can't do this. I can't do it with any other ones. And then I got the flute and it was really cool. But then we played through it again. And I just absolutely loved that you could also have like a 2-player mode for this. So you could play with, my brother would play Mario or Luigi. I would play the other character.
2-player in that game.
Right. And it's like, who can get further? That's kind of what it was all about. Right.
You remind me, if you play 2 players, does the second player replay the same level or do they continue? Okay.
It's to see who could go further.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just a back and forth.
There is,
Yeah.
I believe there was a co-op mode though too, where you share your lives, because the 2-player mode was Mario has 3 lives, Luigi has 3 lives, and then if Mario dies 3 times, Luigi keeps going on. But then there's the co-op where you guys share lives, and then you could see who could get further.
I vaguely remember this. Yeah.
So really cool game. Loved it. Loved the power-ups in that game. Like they had the frog suit and everything in that one. I mean,
Tanuki suit.
Tanuki, so fun, right? And then of course, it was kind of like one of the first open world aside from Mario 64, because it's like you don't have to go through a specific path. It's not that linear. You could take shortcuts essentially if you beat levels a specific way.
Yep.
So I thought that was really cool. It's kind of open. I didn't have to follow every level. I really liked that. And then, the boss fights were really cool. I mean, they're pretty basic, but at that time it was like mind blowing to me. I'm like, oh my God, like how do I beat them? And
airship levels.
oh yeah.
That's
Well,
where they kind of like introduce airship levels.
that's right. And it was like the levels that like would move and you would have to
Yeah.
wait for
Not
it.
that they're my favorite levels, but
hate
they are a thing.
Yeah,
that is a Mario
Save
thing.
P-wings for those levels,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Just fly through it.
Exactly.
So really cool. I think that game was really, really fun. One, again, just the power-ups and stuff and the freedom to play with someone was really cool. But again, the themes of every world was like, again, it's so immersive. So, I mean, you have the desert level and you have all these desert levels that you're going through. And, of course, you would see the Hammer Bro be on top of the map too when you're choosing the level.
Yeah.
That was always a scary thing to me. I was like really, really young at that time. Like it was like 5 or something like that. And then I would beat a level and see the Hammer Bro get closer to me. And I'm like, oh my God, no, I don't want to play that level, And then, of course, you could store power-ups. And it's like, okay, Hammer Bro landed on
Like
the
a mini
next level.
RPG within like Mario. It's
true.
crazy.
Yeah, it's true.
And it's like you're little Mario, you see the Hammer Bro go to your next level, you're like, okay, I have to use a power up. I have to make myself big because the Hammer Bro is going to be right at the beginning and I don't want to die right at the beginning. So you could kind of plan for that. Thought it was really cool, really fun game.
And if you die, it's like all old school like Nintendo games, especially this one, because Super Mario World you can save, but in this game you can't.
Yeah.
So if you like spend all this time going through the levels like by order and not like warp or anything like that, you're
Game
done.
over.
You're done.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, guess I'm playing this game again, which is fine because games back then you need to have that replayability and that kind of stuff.
So the other last cool thing was that you would have those side levels that you could go into, and it was like bonuses to get like power ups and lives and whatnot. You would go into like Toadstool's house, and then you would
card games.
play the card game, and then you would hit like you would jump up and try to match things too and get more power ups. So I thought that was really cool. It was really unique. Not a lot of games were doing those side levels and stuff.
I've been playing this one recently, actually, on the Nintendo Switch Virtual Console for Super Nintendo. And I find the levels are actually like a really good length too. They're not like too long or too short. They're just kind of like perfect. Even those like airship levels, which as a kid when you're playing them seem like they go on forever. You're like panic mode while you're going through them. But even those, they're actually like just reasonably sized.
I just love the power-ups in Super Mario Brothers 3. If you get to like rank like the best group of power-ups in a video game, you're like, holy shit. Like Karibo's shoe I think is another one.
That's a
like
great
you're
one.
just like, oh my God, that's just insane for me.
The Tanuki suit.
The Tanuki suit's great.
Is a Tanuki a real animal? Because Tom Nook is also a Tanuki, right?
Yeah,
It resembles the red panda, doesn't it?
I think it is a real. I'm pretty sure it's a real animal.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
yeah. But Tom Nook's an asshole, as we established.
Yeah, he is. But
What else? And introduced the Koopalings in this game too.
Oh yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
We also introduced lots of things here. I wrote a
Hammer
couple
Bros,
down.
right? Hammer Bros were in, like, I don't think they
I
were in the
didn't write
previous
that down,
one.
but you might be right.
I think you might be right, yeah.
Chain Chomps. I don't know what a Boom Boom is, but I wrote down Booze. Apparently, that doesn't sound right. Booze? Maybe.
No, wasn't-
Oh, maybe.
Oh no, I think you're right. Yeah.
Booze.
that's crazy.
In Super
Yeah.
Mario Brothers 3.
I haven't played
Fire
through them, so-
Brothers, Paragoombas.
Paragumas, yeah. coming
Here's
from the
another fun
sky.
fact. They were supposed to introduce more Mario transformations, one of them being Mario as a
Oh
centaur.
my God, that would be amazing.
And then people are like being like, "Oh, well, the amount of deviant art about Mario as a centaur."
Oh, no.
You remember the amount of deviant art with Mario Odyssey with his whole nipple stuff?
God.
Imagine if the centaur came into play. And then I saw this quote, and I just want to read it out to you. Shigeru Miyamoto himself confirmed a fan theory that has been gaining steam online for a while. Super Mario Brothers 3 never happened. It was all a play put on by Mario and his friends, and clues are all over the game. Because it's a stage play.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because the
Oh,
whole
that's
thing's
right.
a stage play.
Yeah,
There's like curtains
yeah.
and shit like that. I'm like, what?
Oh.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I never even
clue into that.
thought about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's some deep lore right
That
there.
is deep lore.
That's,
yeah.
that's my last fun fact
Yeah.
for the night. Is it Dan? Oh wait, hang on.
Yeah.
Before we Dan,
I am Dan. Yeah.
Before Dan, is your name Dan? Before we get forward,
Yeah, of course.
I want to play some of this music here.
Classic.
Oh yeah.
Just overworld. You're waiting. Beep beep beep. Just going to the next level.
Instant nostalgia as soon as
Yeah.
you hear this, right? Like, happy times.
And you're like, I am fucking ready to play some Mario Brothers. I'm gonna play this.
You know what? This game was punishing. It was joyful, but it was punishing because you had to start over. But compared to the previous game, the controls were cleaner. Every Mario game they released after each Mario was just so clean. Controls.
Well, this one too, like you had the P bar, right?
Yeah.
which is
Yeah,
just,
for
like,
the
if
run,
you get
yeah.
like maximum speed is when you can fucking
Jump
fly
and-
and
Yeah.
jump and whatever.
Yep.
I love that.
Yeah, momentum was big in this game. Not as big as the previous ones.
Yeah, definitely. Dan.
Before I go on to my next nomination, I will say while I've been playing this game, cheesing it hard with the rewind stuff. Yeah, cheesing it hard.
yeah.
Even the match games, like I'm
no.
relentless. Yeah, like I
Wow.
want to get every single thing I
Wow.
can get. Yeah,
Hey, that's okay.
yeah, just for fun.
For a noob.
Yeah, my next nomination is Super Mario Brothers 2.
Yeah.
Really, we're going
Yeah.
there tonight.
I
Yeah.
really wanted that to come out. So
Yes.
thank you.
All right,
You're
Dan,
welcome.
go ahead. Give us the spiel.
So yeah, this is a great game. I never owned it actually, but I rented it a heck of a bunch of times. And I remember even like as a kid, just kind of thinking like, this seems different. Like it's way different than the original Mario game. And I'm sure everyone here knows at this point why it's so different, because it was originally a game called Doki Doki Panic.
Yep.
And it kind of ties into what we talked about earlier about the lost levels being too hard. So when they realized, hey, the lost levels are way too hard and we need to do a new Mario 2 game, they basically took another game that I think was related to the teams that had made Super Mario. They all had like different names and stuff. I don't know them off the top of my head, but they had made this game called Doki Doki Panic, and I think it tied into like a TV show or something.
Yeah,
If
I
someone wants to
remember.
chime in,
I
if they
can't
know
remember.
more
I read
about
something about it, but I forgot at this point.
But they basically, the game started these like 4 different characters from like this TV show or something like that, and they basically just kind of like put new skins on them and made them into Mario characters. But yeah, I had a lot of fun times playing that game. I loved I think it was the magic potions that you could drop that would create the doors to go to this like kind of nether world.
Yeah.
I loved when you'd fight Birdie and he'd like shoot those like eggs out that you'd like jump on. You could like just kind of coast on them for a little while.
Yeah, first
Yeah.
game to introduce Birdo.
Birdo, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, is it Birdo?
Birdo,
Sorry,
yeah.
sorry.
And Shy
Birdo.
Guy.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Fucking nuts.
Yeah, I never beat it, but I had a
It's-
fun time playing.
It's also just like most Mario games are a little weird. Obviously, like
Yeah.
the bosses are weird, the enemies are weird. Super Mario Brothers 2 is fucking wild. Like
yeah.
the enemy, the frog is wild. The rat boss is wild.
Yeah.
The entire like plot is wild. What?
The
It's a-
masks coming after.
Yeah,
it
and
as
it's
well.
like it's a full dream sequence. Like they took
Yeah.
hella psychedelics and entered like a dream state, and that's the entire game. Because they go to the picnic, right? At the beginning, they like go to a picnic and they like literally just see a stairway and a door opening up into a hill, and they're like, "Yeah, well, sure, why not?
Yeah,
let's go."
Yeah.
So maybe if we were to absorb a star and we go on our PCP trip, we just dream of Super Mario Brothers 2.
Yeah,
is what
That's
you're
how
saying.
it works. Yeah.
You were quoting like Donkey, obviously, with that.
yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
And obviously it's a joke, but I think there is some grain of truth that
think
it is
so.
the game of the year every single year.
It's nuts. Also, multiple characters that have multiple different
Abilities.
small abilities.
yeah,
right?
yeah, that was great.
Peach can float. Luigi can jump slightly higher than
Yeah.
Mario.
Yeah.
Toad
it's
Toad
cool.
can pull things out of the ground faster.
Yes, that's right.
I never played as Toad. I loved
I
Luigi.
love pulling the radishes
Peach.
out. That was always so fun.
Yeah.
You know?
But that's like, the Mario Brothers 2 thing of just like, picking stuff up. That's how you fight Birdo. You would jump on the egg, you pick it up, and toss it at them.
Yep.
And you're like, what is this game? It was so weird.
It is weird too because it completely inverted like a core Mario concept that when you jump on an enemy it dies, and now it's like you jump on the enemies and you can
Pick them
them up,
Yeah.
and throw them.
It's like, oh, that's interesting.
It's also it's the second Mario game, but it's the first one to introduce verticality.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Yeah.
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 This
Just-
is the
it
like,
just
most
takes me- it
classic
just takes
song
me
from
back.
the game. Yeah, it's like one of the first levels.
Those radishes, man.
Or radishes. Is
Those
that
fucking,
yeah?
well, I think they're radishes.
Yeah, they're radishes.
Or turnips or
no,
something.
No, they're turnips. Yeah.
turnips.
turnips. That's
always
what
call
it
them
is.
radishes.
Yeah, it's turnip.
I also don't know if I've ever beat this game. but I've played the first couple levels a zillion times. I think I just kept dying as a kid. I'm just like, how do you play this game?
Like, way back in the day when I was a kid, I never beat it. I got far, but I revisited it as a teenager and beat it.
Okay,
So,
is this on the whatever virtual
I
thing?
actually don't know.
you can get
Yeah.
Super Mario All Stars. Will have this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I actually beat it. I never actually had a NES or a Super Nintendo.
Right.
So I beat this on Game Boy as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to the final round. This is so tough for me, I think, because there's a couple platformers that I know we've been celebrating a lot of platformers right now. A lot of sports games not mentioned. There's been only the one kart so far. I'm a little scared.
Yeah.
I'm a little scared some games aren't going to be said, to be honest with you.
Yep.
Oh, shit. I think I need to go with my heart, and I hope you guys fill out the rest of the Mario Pantheon, and hopefully we have other stuff on this list. Maybe it's the last platformer we'll talk about. We'll see. But I'm going to nominate a platformer because this game blew my freaking mind away. And I still think about it to this day. I want this game to be have an HD remaster on the Nintendo Switch. I need this game back in my life. I am talking about Super Mario Galaxy 2.
Oh, okay.
Two.
Two.
Okay.
Okay.
Super Mario Galaxy 2. This game for the Wii, I think was the first time Nintendo made a sequel to one of their core platforming games. And Super Mario Galaxy super well received. People fucking love that game. I love that game.
Yeah.
Super Mario Galaxy 2 took everything that was great about Super Mario Galaxy 1 and just refined all these small tweaks to make it a tighter experience. Everything that was kind of bad with Super Mario Galaxy 1, which I still think is amazing, they're just like, fuck it, let's just make this just better playing. And originally it was supposed to be like a DLC of sort. It was supposed to be like a bonus levels things. And they're like, hey, wait a second, we have an entirely new game that we can just build out and be like, let's just sell this instead. And it's a full game too. It's not like it doesn't feel like a cash grab or anything like that. You get to play as Yoshi, or you get to have Yoshi instead. And I'm not sure how you guys feel about Super Mario Galaxy, just judging by this room here, but I thought the creativity of Super Mario Galaxy just blew my mind as well. All the small little galaxies and how they play with gravity in these games, absolutely insane. And even though this game was on the Wii, it was like a standard definition game, but I just vividly remember it was just beautiful.
Yeah.
It just stood because of how great the concept art was in that game. And you like think about that game and I think about it in HD, but it was never in HD. So I just think it's just one of my favorite platformers really for Mario.
Yeah, Super Mario Galaxy 1 really blew me away just with the different things that you could do. The gravity especially, like the physics engine was like nothing that I'd ever seen before. If I'm being completely honest, I played Galaxy 1 a ton. I got Galaxy 2 and I got about halfway through it. And I think I was in university and I kind of just just disappeared. And I
That's
never
fair.
finished the game, but I do remember really, really liking everything that it was about.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
I mean, I might have been in a similar boat. I say 2 because 2 is definitely the most refined version of it. If
And
we're
that
talking
makes
about
sense.
like if you're thinking of like Mario Kart 8 and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I know they're like 2 is a completely different game, like different levels and all that kind of stuff too. But everything that you liked about 1, it's in
Still
2,
there.
but better.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I had similar experience. I beat 1. I didn't get through 2. I played some of the great levels. I got pretty far. I want to say like 65 to 70% done, and then it just kind of stopped. I eventually like went back and I like played later levels and stuff, but I never was inclined to like go through the full thing. I thought the story was really good, and I thought like again the themes of the levels were beautiful, and some of the platforming levels were like really fun. But yeah, I didn't really get too far in number 2. Number 1, I had a great time, but number 2,
Interesting.
And I agree, like they definitely fixed a lot of things. It just was a smoother playthrough, but I think after playing 1, I was like,
There's a 3-year difference too.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Even still, like that's not even that long between core Mario games too, which it's a very unique game in that sense. Again, I want to say 2 because I think it's just better than
And
1.
what you say about the refining makes a ton of sense, that everything that you liked got better. But I guess for me, it was just the crazy difference from Sunshine to Galaxy was just mind blowing.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
the 2, right? It was Sunshine to Galaxy.
Yep,
Yeah.
Sunshine.
Yeah,
Galaxy,
yeah, it was,
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And it was just so different, like every mechanic.
Yeah.
I don't want to steal your to Thunder.
No. Please chime in. I would like to hear more about it because, like, yes, I agree. The difference between Galaxy 1 and 2, like that difference is a little bit, that's not really a difference. It's the same game, just more refined, right? But the first time you enter the Galaxy universe, it's like when Mario's just flying between planet to planet, and you're going through these truly unique, different Mario type of levels that I've never played before. Like, the planet could be like, like a super small thing, but you can do so much within it, and then you'll just blast off to another planet. And you'll just keep going. So cool.
It's probably the only Wii game that I enjoyed playing on the Wiimote.
Yeah. It's true.
I did not like the controller. I love using GameCube. GameCube controller is by far my favorite controller ever created. I don't know if that's a hot take or not.
Questionable.
Agreed. I have one in my bag right now.
Love the GameCube controller.
Brian's always packing the GameCube controller just in case.
And like I would try to play every Wii game on the GameCube controller as long as there wasn't some loss of functionality.
Yeah.
Galaxy was the only game that I truly enjoyed playing on the Wiimote. So I think that's worth something.
Because there's not much to it, right? You get to shake. He does his shake maneuver. And then you like point your controller to the screen and you get the stars. I mean, like, we haven't really talked about this, but 2 players in Mario game like always kind of suck.
Yeah.
But at least in Mario Galaxy, if you're playing the 2-player, that person, whatever, you give that to like your nephew or whatever, and they're like, oh, they're having a fantastic time just collecting stars and shooting their stupid star bits at people. I'm like, yes, I could get to play the game, and they're still having fun. Instead, like in Odyssey, they control the cap, which is like the most important thing, and then you're like, fuck. What are you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, I don't know if I had Galaxy 2 or not. It's kind of a blur that time period for some reason. But I definitely had Galaxy. And it was like, at that time, I just moved out to go back to school.
Yeah.
And it was definitely one of the games that like, kind of got me through like moving out and adjusting to like, not having a lot of money. Trying to survive.
How did you feel about Galaxy?
It was great. It was, I remember playing it with my roommate. We played a lot. We both loved how creative it was. I want to say that we beat it, but I can't 100% say that. But I remember we had a lot of fun playing it. Yeah. I actually did like the Wiimote for not absolutely every game, but I loved the Wiimote for Resident Evil 4. I played that a ton. I know that's not a game we're talking about today, but I just had to give it a shout out.
Mario game, Resident Evil 4.
I have one complaint about the Galaxy games.
Oh, yes, tell me.
I just felt that they're too linear. Like it was you're on a rail the whole time. Like it felt open and it was very creative. I don't want to bash the levels or the design at all, but it was a very linear experience for me, at least. That's how I felt.
They weren't. It's not an open world Mario game for sure. Yeah. It's not like it was another 3D Mario game, but it wasn't like your 64 or your Odyssey or whatever. It's kind of like jump into a world and you go from within the one level. You might go to like 10 different planets, but it's like you got to do the thing. Before
Right.
I
Great
like
overall,
that.
but it was very linear, and that took away from my experience just a little bit.
Maybe that's just for 3D though, because I was
all
the other
comparing it
games
to 64,
are exactly because the other games like the ones that we've already mentioned are exactly like that, right? You just hop into a level, you finish it, and then you get out.
Yeah.
Alex, what do you got?
Okay, so this is a Mario sports game. Perhaps it is not the one that you may think of. Brian has his arms raised. I don't know what that means.
Wait, can I just say? I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna say Pyro. No.
Oh.
Okay. All right.
Arms are going
This
down.
is a game that I actually don't know anyone. I don't know anyone else who's ever played this game. And my cousin owned it, and I've played 200, 300 hours of this damn game.
Mario DDR.
It is Mario Superstar Baseball.
Whoa.
Yeah. I played it. I don't have that
Superstar
much.
Baseball. Which one is that?
I don't
one
have
for?
a lot of hours.
It's for the GameCube.
GameCube. I
haven't
it's called
played,
Superstar
yeah.
Baseball. Interesting.
I don't even know what I can say about this game. It's the most fun I've ever. I'm not a sports game person. They're too complex. They have too many buttons you have to press. Like NHL 20 is like stick check with your stick down, press 5 buttons. Stick check with your stick up, press 5. Like this is simple. It's easy to play, but there's enough complexity that you can do really interesting things. So it's a baseball game. You're playing baseball. It's not that different, but The characters, you can pick your different characters like you have in all sports games. They all have different strengths. They all have different weaknesses. They might hit the ball well, but they might be slow. They might be fast, and they might not have very much power. They might throw very well. They might pitch very well. They might have a lot of curve on. There's a lot of different things you can do, but you can also set your lineups so that people complement each other. So Mario and Peach, they complement each other. When they throw the ball, you get a little musical note, and they throw the ball really fast. It's not a ton, but we used to do draft mode. So you'd pick your captains, and then you go through each of the characters, and you draft your team, and then you set your lineup. Maybe Diddy Kong goes first. He can make contact on the ball. This is getting a little bit more sportsy than game, but he can make contact on the ball. He hits for average, right? And you can get him on base, and then maybe fourth, you send up Bowser. You send up Bowser Jr., that power hitter that maybe only hits 250 but can rock the home runs, right? So it operated as a normal baseball game, but there was also the cool Mario-ness to it. I played the single player, so I was laid up with surgery for about 4 months in 2014. I played through the entire single player campaign then, and the game would have been 10 or 11 or 12 years old at that point, and I had a 10 years old probably. I had an absolute blast playing it too. And it's just really fun. It's really quirky. When the ball's hit in the air, there's like a circle that you can enter, but you can dive. But if you're Birdo, you like use your nose to suck up the thing.
Of course.
You can play as Kamek, and he like uses his magic wand.
Yeah.
You can play as like a ton of people. Dry Bones was like the Koopa that was Bones. He was very, very good for some reason. And like I thought that was actually only me, but I watched a video, like a play video 2 days ago on Mario Baseball, and like Dry Bones is apparently an OP.
Dry Bones is meta.
Yeah, Dry Bones is meta in the competitive Mario Baseball. I don't know. Like I loved Toadstool. I shouldn't say more games, but like I love Strikers. I love the golf. But this game, it was weird, and like my cousin and I, we would just go to his house and we'd play for literally hours, hours and hours and hours playing this game.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. Like sports games don't usually interest me, but I find all Mario sports games interest me to a level that most sports games don't. Just because they have that little spin to it, and
they're fun.
You have the characters that you love, and some of them are like a lot of them are way better than a regular sports game.
Yeah. Oh, for
I
sure.
like them a lot more.
Way better.
Yeah.
Cool. I have a little bit of a sound ditty here. Let's see what we got here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is this bringing it back?
This is menu music. Yeah.
This pumps you up. Get ready to play some Mario Baseball.
Yeah, it's really really random, but I would recommend, I don't know, checking it out. It's really nostalgic for me more than anything. I don't know if it's even, I don't even know if it's a good game. It's just a game that I really, really liked.
I will say that you sold me on it. I hope that they do a remake at some point. That sounds like a lot of fun, actually.
It's great. Like it was nice and relaxing, but there was a lot of choice that you could make. Like you could steal, you could pick players off, you can choose where people are going to run, like how many bases they're going to run. It's not like, I find a lot of Mario games are a little too, your choices are made for you a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Like you kick the ball and there's one way you can kick the ball. I know I was complaining that there's too much choice, but this like it hit the sweet spot.
Yeah.
And like your pitchers can get tired out.
Yeah.
Some of your pitchers, like Donkey Kong, obviously really strong, throws the ball really fast. Waluigi, really weird, can throw a lot of curve on the ball.
Of course he can.
Got that
He's
lengthy
a curvy dude, man.
Yeah.
We also had like our own lore for it for no reason. Like Boo was like, he was like a pitcher. Like he didn't do anything else. If you had to put Boo in the outfield, like your team was just fucked. Like you couldn't do anything. But if Boo was pitching, like he would put down like up and down, just put batters.
I love
so
it.
I don't know. I just played a ton of the game, and I wanted to shout it out for people that didn't know.
For
about
all
it.
those baseball fans out there. All right, Brian, I'm gonna let you play. Oh, what's this? Mario Galaxy music. I forgot to play in the last one. I also think the music in Mario Galaxy is amazing too.
It's very nice.
It's so nice.
Super professional. You can tell. Sounds beautiful.
Oh, beautiful. I would watch a whole Mario orchestra. Just play for a night. You know how they do that for like Lord of the Rings or whatever, where you get like, or Final Fantasy, I think that's coming to town in like a couple months, or at least in like Toronto, where they put like the Final Fantasy, like a bunch of fucking videos from the past.
They throw it up
and then they have like this whole orchestra do the thing. I would do that for Mario.
They play all the music, and it's like the best quality you're gonna get, and all the music in those games are fantastic.
amazing.
Yeah, love it.
Speaking of Final Fantasy, one thing I need to rewind a little bit. I totally just blanked in the moment when I was talking about Mario RPG. I just have to throw this last little Easter egg in there. You can actually fight Culex in that game. And Culex is a boss. I don't know if you guys know, but from the Final Fantasy games, Culex is in a lot of the Final Fantasy games, and he's always one of the like end game. You beat the game, go try to fight Culex. He was in Mario RPG. Super interesting fight compared to the other ones. So I just had to. I totally forgot to mention that. So yeah, Culex was in that game.
Culex.
Yeah,
Culex.
really cool. Yeah,
Brian, last nomination.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm actually gonna throw out my favorite Mario Party. And here we
You
go.
better choose it right, buddy.
Get ready for this.
Here we go.
Mario Party 5.
Oh boy.
I really like that choice.
This was the first Mario Party to come out on the GameCube. And the game had the best, and still, in my opinion, has the best mini games in any Mario Party game.
Wow.
Yeah, hands down, I have to say. Let me shout out some of my favorite mini games because
go ahead.
This is the reason. Like, you pick what the best Mario Party game is based off the mini games.
Yes.
Let's be real. I mean, like Mario Party 2 was awesome because you had the themed levels and your guys would dress up and stuff. Really cool, but the mini games really get it. Literally the best mini game in this game was actually the volleyball that you could play. So you had 2 players on each end. You'd hit it up. You could do 1, 2, 3, and then over. You could do 1, 2, and then over. So you could serve it to your partner and pass it to your partner, and then you could spike it. So you could serve it over the net, or you could pass it to your partner. Your partner could jump up and spike it. Really fun game. And then another great mini game was the baseball game in Mario Party 5.
Yeah.
Why? Because it actually simulated the hitting from the Mario baseball game, and I loved that game. So I didn't play as much as you, but absolutely loved that Mario baseball game. Cool. And the mini game had the baseball mini
What
game.
else?
in there.
Any other favorites?
Oh yeah, I mean I got a whole list.
Oh, you have a whole. He's showing me his computer.
Yeah, I'm just trying to actually pull it up so I don't talk away from the microphone here. Okay. Oh, the Chompy game. You have a whistle and you have to get the Chomper chain to go through a maze. So you actually have to stand where you want him to run, but there's things in his way. So you have to blow the whistle, and then Chompy will go in a straight line from A to B where you are. He'll beeline to you. But if there's a corner, he can get stuck on the corner. So then you got to run up and rearrange him. So really fun, really interesting mini game. What was the card game. Actually, the card game is really cool. So the card game was actually a mini board game. You know, in the Mario Party games where you go on the board, you have to get the star, play the mini games, get 20 coins, go to the star, get the star. Mm-hmm. There was actually a card game that was a mini version of the board game where you could just randomly pick where you started. There were stars laid out on the board itself, and you had to find your way to the board. And every time you jumped on a new card, each card would give you a path to go. Sometimes you could only go straight. Sometimes you could go left, right, and up and down and whatever. You could go in 4 directions. But yeah, and it limited your way to get to the card. So it looks like, I could just go on a straight line to this card. Mm-hmm. But then you would hop on the card that would connect to the star, and then it would only allow you to go right, and then you couldn't go right to the star. So I thought that was really fun. But I have to say, one of the final mini games I'll shout out in this is the Bowser mini game. Okay. So a lot of people actually didn't play through the full Bowser mini game, because the Bowser mini game, and as I watched a video of this a few days ago, and I was just playing through Mario Odyssey, the final fight in Mario Odyssey came from Mario Party 5.
Oh,
100%.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. So
Mario Party 5 is canon to Super Mario Odyssey.
the Bowser fight. The Bowser fight is. So get this. The way that the Bowser fight started is you would just have to, there's actually phases, but it doesn't tell you that. You know how the mini games always kind of tell you how to play the mini game and what's going to happen? This game doesn't tell you. You just have to stay alive. You know the levels where you're on the circular platform and there's fireballs coming at you. Any of the Mario games have a mini game like this, and you have to dodge the fireballs, and if you get hit, you get knocked off. Last one standing, basically.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Well, if you stayed alive long enough, you would actually see that the stage would form to another, survive. But the final stage, there's 3 of them. The final stage in this Bowser mini game, and I'm talking we're 5 minutes in now to get to this. So you actually have to play the mini game for 5 minutes to get to the final stage. Out comes Bowser. Just like in the Mario Odyssey fight, he's in the background, he's slamming his hand on the ground, he's blowing fire, you have to avoid him, and the Bowser fight himself is a 3 to 4 minute.
What? In a Mario Party game?
That's crazy.
This mini game was it alone was like a 10-minute thing. If you wanted to get to the end and you wanted to defeat Bowser, you would actually have to like completely dodge him and stay alive for like 10 minutes.
Oh my
So,
God.
yeah. And so you definitely need at some point after check out the Bowser fight in Mario Party 5 and then look at the Bowser fight in Mario Odyssey. It's not like 1-to-1, but they definitely got inspiration from it.
Wow.
Really cool. So that's why I love that.
Imagine putting your friends through that. It's like, guys, I'm just doing this right now.
Yeah.
Well, that's
I
the
want to
thing,
take
right?
my turn.
Well, it's like everyone gets knocked off within the first 15 seconds.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
here you are still going strong for like 10 minutes. And you're like, oh my God. And then phase 2 happens. You're like, okay, this must be the final phase. And then you keep going. And then all of a sudden, now Bowser comes out of nowhere. And you're going at it with Bowser for like 5 minutes. And your friends are just like, hey, can we get back to the game? Or,
Wow.
So
That's
love
insane.
it.
I
That's
feel like
crazy.
A lot
That's a
learned
really
a lot
cool
about Mario
fact.
Party.
Yeah.
I just want to like shout. What is the mini game in that one that you just have to press A really fast?
All of them?
There was
No. I just like there was one in 5. I forget exactly. It was 5 or 7 where you had like the spiky balls and you had to hit them out.
Well, okay. Well, there's a few that you actually had to button mash. The one that comes to mind, it's probably not the one you're talking about. There's one where you're suspended in the air
Yeah.
with your friend, and each of you have balloons above you. And whoever presses A fast enough, like essentially after pressing A X amount of times, you pop one of their balloons. So it comes down to who can press A and hit the button X amount of times to pop their bubbles.
Right.
So that's one of the button mashing games. Let me look at my list because I might have the one you're talking about.
I forget
But
exactly.
there's a few of them.
Yeah, but I just want to shout out my one friend. He was able with the GameCube controller to tense up his whole body so tightly that he would start to shake.
Yep.
And then he would be able to like
That's the button mashing thing. That's what I would do. I
That's
would
just
just
technique.
vibrate my hand to.
it would,
to
but
press.
like he would do it like for his whole like he would be tired after. He would do it for 3 seconds. So the game I'm thinking about, I remember that we had a high score and it was like 8 seconds to hit the A button fast enough. Like that's how long that's the fastest anyone could do it. He came over, he like tensed his entire body up, did it once, got a record under 3 seconds, and was like unable to lift his arms for 5 minutes after.
He went Super Saiyan for
Yeah.
button mashing.
Yeah,
for
he
a little
like
bit.
fully contracted like all of his muscles.
Wow.
Yes.
Good for him. That's
Oh my God.
deserves
It-
an award. There.
I don't even know if it was 5. I just needed to shout that out because it was one of the most insane.
I think we all have our own Mario Party memories of weird stuff. I mean, I always remember the Wii one.
Oh yeah.
Let's just say the soda can shaking mini game.
Oh
And
yeah.
how weird that got. I have. Let's just say the final memory I have of that is I don't want to get too graphic, but literally we were all doing the shaking mini game, all of us being like kind of uncomfortable, kind of laughing at the same time. One person, let's say, took position. Someone took position, leaned back on the couch, went to town on the Wii remote, destroyed us by a country mile. Well, there you go. So, Nintendo, a bunch of pervs. Dan, what do you got?
Well, at this time, I am once again nominating Super Mario Brothers 2.
No more of that. One more, Dan.
I know.
This is a big.
For reals. Okay.
Big
I'm gonna
responsibility.
also go with a Mario Party game, Super Mario Party for Switch.
Wow.
Oh, interesting.
A newer one. I played a lot of the first Mario Party and then probably the second one, and then I kind of dipped off for a number of years until this one. And it's definitely there's things that could be better about it. There could be more levels, but I think for what they have, it's like really tightly made. I love all the characters that you can choose from. I like some of the different game modes as well, where you can play, like the standard board game, or you can play it with a friend. Like I play the co-op a lot with my wife, and we just have a blast. We always like choose the like easiest level enemies, and we just have so much fun destroying them. We've done like the river rafting in that game, like
Yep.
a ton.
River rafting is
Cool.
great.
That's a cool
Yeah.
mini game.
Yeah, like we just wore out this game. Like we did as much as we could with this game. There's probably still some secrets we don't know about, but we've to our knowledge, we've like worn out what you can do in this
Yes.
game.
Nice.
I remember introducing that game. To
Yeah,
you
you
guys.
did. You
That's-
did.
I do love Super Mario Party. I think it's a very refined I think a lot of Mario Party games are bullshit. I think all of them actually are too.
A lot of them are based off of RNG.
Yeah,
right?
just
So-
like so frustrating with the fucking star placement and stuff like that. This is not Super Mario Party's fault. I wish, and I don't know why, because it sold so well. Nintendo just has to make DLC for it.
They do, yeah.
They just have to make
Absolutely.
DLC for it because it's a great game. It has the basis of like having more. There's only 4 boards in that entire
Yeah.
game.
Yeah,
That's bullshit.
This
There
is
needs
a
to be more.
Switch game. I know. That was kind of my complaint
Yeah.
too. Also, the allies are overpowered, man.
yeah.
Like, oh my god. But I like it. I like
Yeah.
that you can have like unique dice blocks and stuff. Too.
Yeah.
I
That was
love
really
yes
cool.
the
Yeah, that's
unique
great.
dice blocks
Yeah.
that gives it like a little bit more a strategy.
Yeah.
And the games are good. The mini games are good in Super Mario Party.
Yeah.
Do you remember like trying to explain the dice to me, and you're like, Dan, I don't know what else I can say about this.
Yes.
I just didn't get it for some
I
reason
know.
at first.
For some reason, people get so confused when maybe it's just me explaining
No,
stuff.
no.
But I'm just like, you can have your regular dice block and a special dice block. That's it.
Dan, you're not the only one. I've had friends come over and I'm like, hey, so, each character has their own unique dice block. I loved Wario's. He's got a bunch of 6s, so it's really easy to just kind of progress through. But yeah, some of my friends were just like, wait, what? And then they're like, okay, I'm going to change it. But then they would just press A so fast. They're like, oh, well, I already picked my dice block. Oh, well.
Yeah, I know. It's just like, you fucker.
I'm trying to teach you here.
But I think with Super Mario Party, the thing that I like most about it is not the board game stuff, because there's only 4 of them, and like one of them, I don't even like them all, to be honest with you. But I love the rafting in Super Mario Party.
That's great,
Although that's a game where I wish they had more mini games for. That's especially with that one, because you play the exact same ones over and over and over again. And also the sound mini games too, the rhythm mini games.
Yeah, they're great.
Rhythm mini
Fucking
games.
amazing.
That was so cool.
I cannot figure out the baton one to save my life. I have no idea what you do with that. I just like shake it, like kind of like shake the soda
it's
can
just
style.
like a down motion and up motion, down and up. You have to give acceleration
like a
up.
I
soda
can't
can,
get it.
baby.
I can't get it. I just soda can it so hard.
Yeah. You can't see this, but Brian's doing the baton.
Yeah. You're doing the motion with the. I've almost got like all the rhythm games like perfectly down because I just played after I discovered the rhythm games, I played just rhythm games for a long time.
Those are the best games in Super Mario Party, I think. is the
I
rhythm
finally like figured out the one where you pull the rug out from like the wine glasses. Like when I finally got that, I was like, oh sweet, I finally get this.
stuff. But it still has that classic Super Mario Party or bullshit, whatever. Just,
RNG.
RNG, and just like no real like incentive for prizes. It's like you get these specialty gems, and if you get all 5, you don't get anything. Essentially, you think you unlock like some crazy thing when you get all these specialty gems. You get nothing. I think you get like a pat on the back or something. Like
Pretty much.
They're like, "Good job." That's it.
I want to point out one of my favorite mini games. I love the sizzling steaks.
Oh, yeah.
I love that one.
Yeah.
And I also want to mention one I hate, which is Don't Wake the Wiggler.
Yeah.
Because every time it freaks the hell out of me. I don't know
you're
what it is.
scared of wigglers, eh?
I'm afraid of the Wiggler. Yeah.
Angry Wiggler.
The angry Wiggler.
Well, let's take a break. We'll calm Dan down because he's super afraid of the Wiggler right now. And when we're back, we're going to rank these bad boys. We'll be back. I'm Bowser. You fools. You'll never get the Princess Peach.
Oh no, it's Bowser.
There's nothing you guys can do, nothing you guys can get that can defeat me.
You know what, guys? I think we need, Cappy. One of those really cool Mario Cappies. We can throw it on his head.
Where can we get that?
No way. You're not talking about the Pod Cavern affiliate link, are you?
The Amazon Pod Cavern affiliate link where we can go and quickly buy Cappy with one click. Is that what we're talking about?
Oh my goodness, you guys discovered the secret of the Amazon affiliate link, the Pod Cavern link that you can find on podcavern.com. And if you click on it and you buy something, a little bit of a kickback goes to Pod Cavern, and it doesn't cost you any extra money. Is that what you're talking about?
That's exactly what we're talking about.
No! Podcavern.com.
Top five.
Wow! We are back, everybody. That was better. My wah is better than my wahoos, I think.
No, I felt that your sound effects were very good. Your voice was
A little...
not as good.
A little bit Mickey-ish?
Yeah, yeah.
Not as good. Is
Yeah,
that what
a
you're
little
saying?
Mickey-ish,
This is
yeah.
how you're going to get banned again, is by insulting my accents, my very pristine accents.
Yeah, I think last time it was like Decepticons. I was making fun of you.
Well, I love that reference. Top 5 Transformers.
Autobots, let's roll out.
But we're not here to talk about Autobots and Decepticons or beasties. We're talking about Super Mario games. Or were they called Beasties?
They were called
Beasties.
Beast,
Okay,
Beast
yeah.
Wars.
Beast
Yeah.
Wars. Okay,
Yeah.
great. But again, we're talking about Super Mario games. Super Mario games from the Mushroom Kingdom, all these games. And I couldn't tell, people are like, dudes, you said one sports game. There's just one sports game on this entire list. Listen, I have a bunch on my honorable mentions. I wish I could have said. What our list is we got Super Mario World. We have Super Mario Odyssey. We have Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars. We have Super Mario 64, Super Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Super Mario Deluxe. That's very confusing. Super Mario Brothers 3, Super Mario Brothers 2, Super Mario Galaxy 2, Mario Superstar Baseball.
Yes, Tung, would you like to hear the full Japanese title of
I
that
would
game?
love to hear the full Japanese title of this game. No accents needed.
First, in English,
Yeah.
Super Mario Stadium Miracle Baseball. Second, in Japanese, Super Mario Sutaijiamu Mirakuru Beisuboru.
Well done.
Well done.
That's
Yeah.
great.
good.
That's really good. That's really good. As president of Nintendo, I approve that your translation of that. Then we have Super Mario Party 5 and Super Mario Party. Sorry, it's just Mario Party 5, not Super Mario Party 5. Mario Party 5. Lots of supers. Not all Mario games have super.
But most of them, like I was saying earlier, is that like it's surprising how many games actually start with Super Mario. You think it's like Mario RPG. No, it's Super Mario RPG.
That's right.
Interesting.
There's a lot of them. Guys, we have a responsibility to make a top 5 list with the games in front of us. So sad some of these games didn't make the list, but it's okay. We'll talk about the honorable mentions. Yep.
Yep.
The next part is we want to star the nominations on this list in any order that we want to have for further discussion, or we're like, this is a lock. This will definitely make the top 5 list. Let's just save it for later. And then the rest of the games that are not starred, that's it. Goodbye. Bye. What are we thinking here?
All right. Wow.
Anybody can go. Just star any game.
I would really like to star Super Mario Odyssey. I really think it's like the obviously there's going to be more Mario games that come out.
Okay.
I mean, they do crazy stuff, but I can't imagine a peak that's higher than Super Mario
Great.
Odyssey.
We're going to
It's
start,
been amazing.
and we're going to talk about it later.
Yes.
What other games do we want starred on this list here?
Super Mario World.
Super Mario World
It's
getting
gotta.
starred. What other games need to be starred for further discussion? Dan, give me one.
Mario 64.
Mario 64. I'm going to star one. Super Mario Brothers 3 needs to be starred on
Agreed.
this list. What other games are we thinking here?
I mean, like, you guys don't know too much about
I'm
Super
going to
Mario
star
RPG.
RPG so you can talk about it more.
I just have more to say about it.
Okay, let's think it. That's all it is. It's the more to say about
Yeah.
it.
Can I talk about baseball more?
Yes, you can.
Thank you.
It's actually Baseboro.
Beisuboru.
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 If you let me
now-
talk about it more, I will only describe it by its Japanese name.
Okay, it might get number 1 now because of that.
Mirakuru.
Dan, give me another one.
I'm gonna say Super Mario Kart 8.
Okay, yes,
Nice.
I agree.
Good choice.
Okay, so just to keep track of what we have starred is we have Super Mario World, Super Mario Kart 8, Super Mario Odyssey, Mario Superstar Baseball, Mario RPG. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Super Mario Brothers 3 and Super Mario 64. That is 7 starred. Is there anything else on this list that we want to just talk about for further consideration? Now, I know where my fights are and what it's going to be, and I also don't think out of this company that Super Mario Galaxy will make the list, so I'm okay with not having it here. I didn't know it'd be as big of a dud as when I nominated it. Otherwise, I would have said a sports game, but to me, Galaxy is still one of the most creative Mario games out there.
Yeah, it's a
in terms
good
of
game.
level design. I think the planet stuff's fucking amazing. But with that said, goodbye.
You think so? I think like if you want to talk about it, because for me personally, I don't think it was a lack of enjoyment of the game. It was just there was just no opportunity and the point of my life to really play it as in depth as I could have. Like if you want to talk about it, I would
Well, that's the thing is with this company, I am completely fine. Like I think if I had to choose a 3D Mario game, Odyssey has everything I want in a Mario 3D game.
Fair.
Galaxy definitely had a stepping stone, it was a stepping stone for Odyssey, I think, in a lot of ways. Although I think Galaxy is unique in the way that they handle like space stuff and gravity and those like circular worlds. I think is super creative. But that said, Odyssey takes the cake for me. So
I'll agree with you and say the creativity was awesome for that game from what I remember, like especially like a Galaxy 1 and 2. It was creative, but it just didn't feel as open, and I didn't feel as intrigued to. And it's not meant to be that game, but I just didn't feel as compelled to complete it as the other games.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's really hard to identify what it was.
We got Rosalina. She's Space Peach.
Yeah.
Space Peach.
Do we know the lore behind Rosalina?
Do you? Are you asking me, or if I know?
Well, I know like some theories, but I'm wondering, does anyone know who she is? Who she comes from?
No, is she like Peach's mom or something like that?
She's actually supposed to be Luigi's daughter.
Shut up.
Really?
Luigi fucked?
That's right.
Luigi hasn't fucked.
Now here's the thing.
You're talking DeviantArt. Jesus Christ.
The thing is like, who did Rosalina come from? Well, you think Luigi and Daisy, because that's who he pairs up with. But there's apparently this theory that Luigi actually had Rosalina with Princess Peach.
Oh my god. Princess
Really?
Peach sleeping with everyone.
Literally. So yeah, Rosalina apparently comes from Luigi.
I don't like that.
And the mom is either Daisy or Princess Peach.
Yeah, I'm blocking that out of my memory
I don't
forever.
say that. You want to hear another gross one that I heard is that Bowser Jr. is Bowser and Peach's like son.
I mean, that's believable
Yeah.
for a number of very disturbing
he
reasons.
steals her all the time.
Yeah.
Where did these Koopalings come from?
Well, Bowser, a lot of games paint Bowser as like stealing Peach, but she willingly goes over to Bowser's castle a lot of the time, is what we don't know. But happens in a lot of the games. She says, "Oh my God, you stole me," but really she's going over to see her friend because he's a king, she's a queen or princess, whatever. You know, they hang out. They're royalty.
Who wants to hang out with Luigi though? He's scared of everything.
Yeah,
Scared of everything.
I love Luigi. I've loved him.
Luigi's awesome. I love Luigi.
Hey,
too.
listen, we've talked about his like, what is it? His 3.5-inch non-erect dick before. This is not me making stuff up and trying to be gross. This is like a picture.
People do math online.
People did the math of a picture of the Mario Tennis Luigi. And I think I might have talked about this in the podcast before, but just in case people don't know, there's a picture of Luigi and his tennis racket and a bulge that Luigi has, and they fucking did the math on it, and you can see them doing the math and like, well, according to his racket size and his bulge size, Luigi has a 3.5-inch dick that is not erect.
And they base it off of like how tall like Luigi is, and then they reference the size of the racket and everything. The math is like spot on,
pristine. So put that in your
I
head.
like that you've talked about this before.
It's hard not to talk about.
It's too
Because
funny.
Luigi he's scared, but he's packing.
Oh my God, he's packing.
But we're gonna have to pack the bags for Super Mario Galaxy 2 because it's leaving the list. Super Mario Deluxe, I don't know, but
I mean, I loved it, but it is essentially the first Mario game, and I feel that they built on, it was a great foundation, but it wasn't like, there was better games that came after it. I wouldn't be sad to watch it leave the list. I just wanted to shout it out because I 100%ed it, and it was just the lost levels and the amount that it packed into a Game Boy game, I thought was really, really cool. But I'm cool if we don't talk about. I said my piece, and it's a good game if you want to check it out.
I love that. How about let's talk about the Mario parties.
Yeah,
I mean, I can't see them making the list, but you guys tell me. Like, I've had fun with Mario parties in the past, but
Yeah, I think kind of the same point that Alex said. Like, I've had a lot of fun playing this version of Mario Party, so I just had to say something about it.
Yeah.
Totally okay if it doesn't make a list. I think we all have acknowledged from those of us who have played it that it's a fun game and there's a lot of great qualities. But yeah, I just more so just wanted to talk about it. Didn't really
Same
think
here.
it
I
had
mean,
to make the top 5.
They're fun games. They're fun with mini games, but you don't get as much replayability as some of the like core games. I mean, if we're comparing like Super Mario top games, like of course we love the Mario Party games, but it can't be up there with
them.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And like that happens a lot. You play it, you're having fun, and then you're just like, okay, I want to stop because RNG is not in your favor. But again, we got some heavy hitter Mario games up here. We can't really put the Mario Party games beside like a Mario Odyssey. That's tough, man.
Or like even like some sports games we didn't even mention, like whatever. Like Mario Party games, they have their place.
Yes.
I will always usually buy a Mario Party game but they're always bullshit.
But comparing a Mario Party to Mario 64 Odyssey just doesn't feel just like.
Don't you
to
love
me.
that feeling when you're in the lead in Mario Party and then for some reason you just lose at the end?
Yeah, the dude in last.
They're just like, here's a bunch of stars to the person in last, and
the
now
bonus
they're
stars.
the winner.
Yeah.
What?
You just like hop off your chair. You start like verbally berating some.
Yeah, the bonus stars were the worst because it's like the dude that's in fourth is like, oh, here's a bonus star for landing on all the red spots. Here's a bonus star for losing all of the mini games.
Yeah.
Here's a bonus star for having the least amount of coins. Here's a bonus star for having the least amount of stars. Oh, you now win.
Here's a bonus star for being Luigi. Great. Thanks.
Wow.
Okay, and the last one is Super Mario Brothers 2.
I love talking about this game. I think it's got some interesting, background
so
to it.
cool.
Yeah.
It's
but
cool.
but I mean, like when you stack it against like something like World or 3 even, or like as we've been saying, like Odyssey, I don't think it quite holds up to that. But it's got such a great story behind it.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is easily one of the most unique Mario games ever made, and will
for sure.
always be this amazing how did this happen kind of game, and I'm so glad it did as well.
What I wanted to say just before we kind of abandon it a little bit is it was one of the only games that I've ever felt that like things happened that I felt maybe didn't happen to anyone else. I know that that's probably not true, but like you would have the potion and you would throw it down and there would be a door and there would be some level in the door. I remember playing it and thinking like maybe no one else has got this level. Obviously that's not true, but the idea that you could put it down anywhere, kind of it's different every time. It was really like a psychedelic game. Like it was a psychedelic game in an era where psychedelic games weren't really getting made.
Yeah.
And like I think that was really interesting. And it was psychedelic on like a low level, like not color wise or polygon wise, like it wasn't swirls but just like it was weird and it was like really fun in that sense.
I think back in the day, like I didn't realize how weird it was because I'm a 1990 baby, and I was just like the first Mario game I played was just regular Super Mario Brothers, and then 2 came out, so I had no reference of like how I knew it was different. But I wasn't just like, ooh, this is crazy. It was only until like other games started coming out that I'm like, wait a second, why is this one so different than the other ones?
Right? I mean, it was really cool. Like, I remember I was just like, oh, wow, I can pick my character. Okay, I'm going to try, Princess Toadstool at Peach. And then I'm just like, oh, wow, she can't jump as high as Mario. But then I held the button. I'm like, wait, I'm floating. So, I mean, like, moments like that were really cool. So I think it's definitely up there for, like, fun games. And it's very unique. Yeah. But, I mean, like, we all even mentioned, we don't remember, like, the game full and through, and like people aren't playing, we're not going back and trying to beat it like the other Mario games that we love. We didn't put 200 hours into this game, so great game.
Fond memories, but I don't really need to go like if I were to play it right now, I'd play the first couple levels and be like, nice, I'm good. Yeah. Cool. So just as a reminder, we have Super Mario World, Super Mario Kart, Super Mario Odyssey, the Baseball game, Legend of the Seven Stars, Super Mario RPG, Mario Brothers 3, Super Mario 64. I think the 2 ones that obviously stand out to me as like, oh, I don't know, is baseball and RPG, but mostly because I haven't played those 2. So let's talk about baseball a little bit more.
So to be honest, I don't expect this to make the top 5 because objectively it doesn't stack up to the great Mario platformer games or even the best Mario Karts. It's just a matter of personal nostalgia. This is like, to have a sports reference, the Los Angeles Kings in the 8th seed winning the Stanley Cup.
Or that means nothing to me.
Davidson with Steph Curry going to the Final Four.
Keep going.
Or Team USA, Miracle on Ice, 1980, beating the Russians. I actually don't like baseball as a sport, so I don't have any baseball analogies. But
it's like the Blue Jays beating the big team to win the
other
cup.
team.
Yes.
We were too busy playing Mario games.
I mean,
So sports?
Yeah, I really like sports. Yeah. And I don't like sports video games, which is kind of a weird juxtaposition because I know you're not, Tuong, really big into sports, right?
I like tennis.
That's right. That's right. Tennis. Yeah. But like, I follow pretty much every big, like I follow basketball, I follow football, I follow hockey, I follow soccer, like I follow a lot of sports, and I don't like sports games. So the fact that this game came along and I've played it for so many hours in a genre of game that I don't really like,
Yeah.
I found that it was extraordinary. I literally don't know how to describe like what hit me with the
Right.
game, but like it would be like 2015, 2016. This game came out I looked it up, 2006. And I would go to my cousin's house, and instead of playing any of the new games, he had a Wii U, he had a Wii. Instead of doing any of that, we'd play baseball for 5 hours. We would set, like we would have tournaments. We would set, like you can set the innings. It was just so much fun. And I think it's a lot of nostalgia that makes me really like this game.
Yeah.
But it was interesting in the sense that the amount of strategy that you could implement was fairly high without making the game extraordinarily complex. And that's not something that I've seen in a game since. I found a lot of the Mario sports games are quite linear. And this brought a little bit more complexity in how you can create a team and how you can play the game. Whereas some of the more realistic sports games, like I said, just they're too much for
Right.
me. So I really like Mario Superstar Baseball. Just want to give it a shout out.
Yeah, of course,
if it's not going to hit the list, I completely understand, but I do
I wish I played it. I
really
truly
recommend.
did. Yeah.
I'm going to bring my Wii up to Waterloo, and I have the game right now at my house.
Oh, that was a
so
GameCube game. Sorry.
It is. No, it is a GameCube
Oh,
game.
okay.
I just don't have my GameCube anymore.
Oh, okay.
But you can play it on the Wii. So if I bring it up, I'll get some of you guys over and we can play
Cool.
some of the games.
I would love to.
Sorry,
go ahead.
I just want to say I do want to defend the game as well
Yeah.
because I did play it. I don't have as many hours as you, but I do have a lot of fond memories. Mario Baseball and Mario Strikers were the two Mario sports games, aside from Mario Tennis, that like my friends would we would all play for hours. We would play sports. One of the sports we played the most was soccer, baseball, and football. Yeah. And then we'd come back and we'd play the Mario version of it, and it's a great game. So I will say it's a super fun game. I don't know it as in depth as you, but I want to defend it and say it's a great fun game.
I believe that.
Strikers is a big one for me, but I think Mario Baseball just got to me first and like hit me a little harder. But yeah,
That GameCube era of Mario sports games
loved it.
is I think
The
that's
best
what's
time.
Yeah, the best time, and I think that's probably it's a nostalgia thing for sure, but also it's like that just couch co-op at its best, I think, and I think that's probably why you enjoyed it so much and you had so many hours. Because I feel the same about tennis, especially. Which is the other one I was going to nominate because I spent hours and hours and hours on that kind of game. But I can understand the feeling and sentiment. But since I don't know it as well, I can't vouch for you.
and again,
I'm kind of in the same position. I did look up some like pictures of it. It definitely looks like the graphics held up quite well.
They
on
did.
it too.
Yeah.
I'm actually very impressed. You said it's 2006.
2006,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Well, with that said, Alex, just compare to these other games here. Do you think it belongs on the top 5 of this group, anyways? Or?
No. Like objectively, it does not. It doesn't have the depth as some of those other games. Like it doesn't even have the depth of Super Mario World. To be honest, it just it's just a great game, and
Fair enough.
hope people can play it.
All right, let's get rid of Super Mario Baseball. And
Mirakoru.
I'm sorry.
Besaboru.
I'm sorry. Alex is super mad at me now.
This is how I get banned again.
So we have Super Mario World, Mario Kart 8, Odyssey, RPG, Mario Brothers 3, and 64. All right, let's hear it.
Let me defend
Go ahead.
Mario RPG.
Yes, let's hear it.
Because you guys haven't played a lot of it, so I want to like paint some really fond memories of why I think this game should really be there.
Yeah.
First of all, when I was like talking about this game, I didn't even mention Geno, or he's actually pronounced Geno.
Right.
So correct pronunciation would be Geno, but everyone knows him as Geno. Everyone loves to call him Geno. So if you don't know who Geno is, definitely look him up sometime. Really cool character. He's basically a puppet in the game that gets powered by one of the stars. And the stars is basically just trying to bring order back and bring the wishes back to the land of Mario. So, okay. Let me just talk about a few things about this game. I'm going to tell you the names of the worlds just so you can get an idea, because the worlds actually look just like they sound. But the thing is the one thing that really stood out about this game is that it was so unique and creative, like the worlds and the themes, but it felt very Mario. It was very different, but it felt very Mario. So the first place that you start is Mushroom Kingdom. Everyone knows what that looks like. And
What's
it looks
that?
like... It looked like the same thing in Mario RPG. It really it looked, it was Mushroom Kingdom in Mario RPG. So, okay. The next place that you'd go to is pond to pipes. You got little ponds, you got little frog guys, you got pipes, just like Mario, going in and out of the green pipes. So the green pipes are there. The next area that you would go to is Mole Mountain. It's exactly as it sounds. Mountain level, you got mole people. And now remember, with each place that I'm talking about, there's an inn, there's a shop that you can buy new gear from. It's just like your standard RPG.
What kind of gear are you buying in a Mario RPG?
Now, this is the coolest part. Each character, I'll actually name off the characters, and then I'll give you some ideas of some of the gear that you can buy for these characters. And by the way, when you would switch gear in the game, it would be displayed when you're getting into battle.
Like
like Final Fantasy VII, you get a new sword, you can see Cloud's new sword. Okay, that was happening back in Super Nintendo, in Mario RPG. Okay, so the playable characters were Mario, Princess Toadstool, again Peach, but we all know her as Toadstool from, that was her name in the previous games. Mallow, he's basically this little cloud with like colorful pants.
I love that idea.
Gino was like this puppet that kind of looks like Pinocchio in a sense, but he has this blue cape on him and he's powered by this like ultimate being. And then you have Bowser. You can actually play as Bowser. And yeah, Bowser at first is like you're fighting him, but then later, spoiler alert, he joins your team because you actually find Bowser and he's like crying in front of his castle and you're like, hey Bowser, what's going on? And you're Mario, and then he's like, oh, I'm not crying, and then he basically explains how Smithy took over his castle, and then he joins your party.
He's like the Magus of this group.
Yes, he is. Oh, that's my favorite game, by the way. So he is the Magus. Although you don't have the choice to kill him or to keep him. So yeah, so you have to play with Bowser, but you don't have to put him in your party. So the thing is, you can only have 3 characters on the battlefield, so you would have to pick in between.
Classic, yep.
Peach is a healer, but she also has strong magic abilities. Mallow is a healer, but he also has strong magic abilities. Mario he's a hybrid. He has a lot of like physical attacks, but he also has strong magical attacks. And then Bowser, kind of similar like Mario, strong physical attacks, has strong magical attacks, but mainly based off of physical attacks. Okay, so now you know the characters. Every time you went into one of these like lands, you could buy gear for them. Mario would get the most unique stuff. He would get a hammer to start, standard Mario thing, right? Because Mario had the hammer in the previous games. But then he would get like an attack where he would throw a shell up and he'd kick a red shell at his enemy. So instead of running up to the enemy and smacking with a hammer, you would then just stand back and kick a shell. Really interesting. Bowser had like weapons that were like the chomp chain on, like literally chompy on a chain. He'd throw it at the enemy. It was pretty cool. Peach had like umbrellas. She'd hit you with an umbrella, and if you timed the attack right, she would like open up the umbrella and do extra damage. And then like Geno, he would shoot like pellets out of his arm and stuff. So really interesting things. But yeah, so you'd get different gear like that. Now, your character would always look the same, but again, your weapons would change. So that's the cool thing. You can go to different areas, you can buy new weapons, and they would show up. So, I mean, it's like an RPG game. You're getting armor that helps you with specific fights. There's fights that have sleep and poison and stuff. You can get resistances to those. So it was as in-depth as a Final Fantasy game, but with Mario-themed stuff. So really cool.
That does sound really cool.
The last thing I'll say about it is like the music is Final Fantasy level music. Like we're talking like tip of the top, amazing music. Like I know the first thing we kind of listen to is like kind of the fun levels, but the music does get really good. The boss fights were actually really hard. They start off kind of easy, but they actually like, I think the way that the game teaches you to fight these bosses is you start with the boss number 1. He has this mechanic and they're like, oh my God. And like, actually the guys that you fight before you get to the boss show you little ideas of what the boss mechanics are. So just kind of what like standard games do. But some of the later fights at the end are actually really hard. Like you're no one that's going to play the game through the first time is going to beat all the bosses in one try. You're going to actually struggle with some of the bosses, especially if you try to fight Culex. Like there's no way you're going to figure out that fight within the first like 5-10 fights you fight him. He's like, that's how difficult it is. So I don't know. I think this game was just really cool because we all love Mario and I'm a huge RPG fan. And this game was just so well done with the moves that you could do. Like, again, you could perfect block, reduce damage. You could do perfect timed attacks, increase damage. But then there's like different mechanics. Like some of the magical abilities, you had to hold the button for a certain amount of time. Like one of Geno's moves is called Geno Beam. And you have to hold the button for long enough. And stars like,
Beam.
Yeah, but it was super anime, but it was really cool. So yeah, you hold the button long enough and it charges up his beam. And then and you let go at the right time and it does maximum damage. You know, some of the other cool attacks, like Gino puts his hands on the ground and like these lights come up from the ground. So the animations in the game are just incredible as well. So design, visually, sounds, mechanically, it was just so perfect. So that's why I want to throw it on the list, but you can only really appreciate it if you play through
Well,
it.
it sounds really cool. I'll be honest. And now my main question here is because it sounds like the stepping stone and the foundation of what became of this game's no longer going to be on the table, but Paper Mario games, right?
Yeah.
All those kind of games. Now, like one of the fucking Paper Mario games, I can't believe wasn't said.
I was going to say.
And
1,000 Year Door. I can't believe 1,000 Year Door.
I know.
That's the best one. Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
that game, oh, I can't believe it. People are going to go nuts on that. But Super RPG sounds amazing. Now, comparatively, not nostalgically, if you had to like look at it in a vacuum, compare it side by side, what do you think about those two games separately?
So I actually had to make the decision because I didn't want. I was gonna say Mario RPG: The Thousand Door.
Thousand Year Door.
Yeah.
Thousand Year Door. Thank you. I was gonna throw that as one of my other nominees because that was like in my very high top. But I didn't want to pick two RPG games, so I had to pick the best out of the two. Now this is a lot to say. Paper Mario's I wanted to throw out there as my nominee. But Mario RPG beats it. If you like Paper Mario, especially like from 64 in the GameCube version, you have to play Mario RPG and you'll understand why I picked this game over. It's not because it's nostalgic. It's not because it was like the first game I played. I actually I didn't even fully beat Mario RPG back in the day. And then like I played the Paper Marios and playing the Paper Marios made me remember Mario RPG. I went back and then 100% Mario RPG because the Paper Marios were so fun. So I have to say it beats the Paper Mario games. I know that's a lot to say.
Yeah, that's huge.
Now, if I were to put like a percentage, like Mario RPG is 100%, and then the Paper Mario games are like 98%. Like they're so
they're very
neck
close.
and neck. So it's not like I'm putting one
fair.
higher over the other.
Just that much more.
Okay.
Yeah. So
This is great
that's why I
to
picked
know. I haven't played this game either. I know you guys haven't either as well.
I've played like I want to say 1 hour, maybe 1 hour of it, just because I'd heard so many good things about it. So like I've definitely like anyone who's played it in depth like Brian has, definitely I've heard like the same story that's like so good. I think it was one of those games that was easy to miss though too. Like didn't it come out at the end of the console
Right at
cycle?
the end, and that's why a lot of people actually didn't play
Yeah,
it. So
yeah.
here, I actually have the exact date that it came out. It came out March 9th of 1996. So we're talking like we had Mario 64 June 23rd, 1996.
Yeah,
That's why.
that's why.
That's
yeah.
why
It
a lot of people
overshadowed
didn't play
It was a
Yeah.
Super Nintendo game?
Super
That came-
Nintendo.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's 100% why
That's
people
why,
didn't play it. Yeah.
Yeah.
and that's the thing because again, like Paper Mario games, like they're so good.
Yeah.
But this definitely, in regards to RPG, this one beats it, and that's
This is
why I
tough.
nominate it. So
And I think to me it was very easy for me to be like, oh well, great, Brian has this thing. It sounds great. You showed me pictures and videos in the past, but I feel like I have to play it to actually know its value, I suppose,
Yeah.
and like for me to feel like as excited as you are about it. But the amount of research you did about this and
Well, this
your
is memory.
and your passionate argument for it makes me think, and especially if you're saying that it's comparable to Paper Mario, I feel comfortable with the idea that it could be on this list, especially for if we want variety on this list too.
Yeah.
So I think what we got to do is we have 6 nominations here. We need to cut 1. I think to make this easier, let's talk about locked nominations. These are the ones that definitely make the list. Doesn't matter where on the list they are, but they unanimously will say this has to be on the list.
Actually, I have a quick question. If because honestly, it was between Super Mario RPG and The Legend of the Seven Stars or Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. If I picked Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, what would your decision be? Keep that in mind, at least.
What I will say is I think he's like personally sold me on having it somewhere in the list. But the problem is there's a couple games I haven't played as fully as I maybe should have.
Sure.
Super Mario Bros. 3.
Yep.
I haven't played as fully, and I'm not like the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Yep.
I like, but I have a game that's better, so it's so hard.
Well, that's not true.
It's so hard for me to like put that in the top
fair. That's
when
fair.
there's a Mario Kart game I like more.
Double Dash.
Double Dash.
So that's
So here's the thing.
Yeah.
Let's just get this out there. The GameCube was so
the GameCube was
good.
amazing, but Double Dash. I probably put the most, and we're not talking about Double Dash right now. My quick thing
We can always talk about Double Dash.
is that I put that's my nostalgia pick. I put the most hours into Double Dash, 100%.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like, it's just a slide. It's a very slidey game with its drifting and stuff like that, and I don't think it's completely balanced in the way that I would like and as accessible as Mario Kart 8. I think Mario Kart 8 is just the culmination of years and years and years of Mario Kart and its at most refined state.
Yeah.
But there's always a place in my heart for Double Dash. I love and especially with the items and shit like that, switching back and forth characters. It's great, but
You make a good point.
yeah,
The
that's all it is.
controls hold me back because if I were to pick between, just for example, between 8 Deluxe and Double Dash, I would want to pick Double Dash.
I would-
just
that's-
because I love it. I have the most hours,
Yeah.
like you said. But the controls in 8 Deluxe are so clean.
Yeah,
it's
no,
just
that's-
so fun to drift.
Exactly.
So.
I feel like I'm actually getting better at the game in Mario Kart 8.
Yeah,
So-
my thing is like I'm not good at video games.
Yeah.
So to have a game with tight controls for me is kind of just like more opportunity to fuck up.
Yeah.
You got the assistant.
Yeah, like
thing, right?
I'm not that bad at video games. No offense to anyone who uses it. Like I'm sure it's, but like yeah, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe looks the best for sure. The other thing is we have like multiple platforming games, but like I don't think they're like almost unimpeachable to me.
Well, we'll see. Let's
Yeah.
go with the locks.
Well,
Or,
so,
sorry,
well,
Dan,
I want
what
to
do
say
you
something a
think?
little different first. So going back to Brian's question, like if you had chosen the 1,000-Year Door, the Paper Mario one, I've never played a single Paper Mario game, so it wouldn't have affected me in any way.
Okay,
I
okay.
have played a little bit of RPG, and I've watched a lot of videos about it, and I've heard a lot of people speak very kindly of it. So that one makes a stronger impression for me.
Yeah.
If like looking at the ones that are locked in right now, or
Never
at
got
least
me
start.
locked in.
We have two to me that seem similar, where RPG could kind of like knock one of them out and say, hey, this one's a little bit different and it's highly regarded. Correct me if I'm wrong, but still, World and 3 are starred.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
To me, those are the two that are the closest alike out of that list. And I would say that World is like a better version of 3.
That's okay. Let's not get there yet, because I think both of them might belong on this list personally.
Okay.
I don't
I'm just saying there's an argument that can be made about that.
maybe,
Yeah.
but
To
they are
knock
very.
out
They're
one of
also
them.
very different too.
They're similar, but they are very different because
Like-
Super Mario World is way more open
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
And 3 is like a mini RPG because it has like you get to keep
save
items
power-ups,
and,
yeah.
and whatever. Like and there's
Kind
like
of RPG.
I was going to nominate
That's why I said
3
mini,
earlier.
mini. Like you
yeah.
get these items that you get in your
Yeah.
inventory.
A
quote,
micro
unquote.
RPG.
Yeah.
I
very-
like the word micro.
Yeah, very micro, but it's to me they're like very different games. Although they follow the 2D
Yeah.
kind of platforming, whatever.
I don't know. Those two just seem the most alike out of
Yeah,
that list.
I will
Yeah.
agree with that.
Yeah.
Because if we want variety, then I think you're right. But at the same time, like I can agree with that, but I can also disagree with it because I've played both of those a lot, and I can feel the differences like pretty
Same.
significantly. I'd say Super Mario World is very different overall. It's just if you were to just look at them, they look very similar.
Yes.
but
I'm like,
playing
talking
through
like
them,
two screenshots
yeah,
side by side,
exactly.
yeah.
So they look very
well,
similar.
I mean,
maybe I'm
improved
biased.
graphics,
Maybe I'm
but-
biased because like the color palettes go
Yeah.
completely different
Yeah.
between the two games.
Are you
But
talking about the Secret World?
But one of them is an NES game and one of them is a Super Nintendo
Yes.
game.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, for me, I look at them. I'm like, well, that's Super Mario. I would never, ever in my life mistake one for the other. Like that's just they're completely different in my mind. But with that said, I want to talk about locks for sure.
Yeah.
And just say if it's a lock or not. Okay. Super Mario World, lock or not?
Lock.
I think it's a lock.
Okay. And if it's not unanimous, we keep talking about it. Super Mario Kart 8,
Lock.
Lock.
You don't have to. You don't have to.
No, challenge it, man.
You can challenge it.
I can't do it.
Okay, fine, that's fine. Super Mario Odyssey, lock.
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 Great. Everyone's unanimous on that. Mario RPG.
Lock.
Okay, great. We'll keep talking about it. Super Mario Brothers 3, that's a lock for me, but I already know that it's not locked.
I waver.
Not locked, not
I
locked.
waver.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
As long as we just need to have the talk, right? And then Super Mario 64.
Lock.
Lock.
Cool. Now we have two locks, which is World and Odyssey. Let's just leave that in the corner, and the rest of the discussion goes towards Kart, RPG, Mario Brothers 3, and 64. All right, I need to talk about this. 64.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about 64
okay,
too.
really?
64, and I don't want to downplay this. It is obviously a legendary, iconic game that helped build the framework for games to come.
It's foundational, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily think it's one of the best games anymore. I think it's definitely dated. If you do go back to it, there is stuff that I nostalgically love about it because I spent hours and hours and hours of this game. I love it still, for sure. I'm not trying to downplay it. But at the same time, I can see it now, and when I play it, I'm like, this was an amazing game for its time. And because games like Odyssey, and even if Galaxy, for example, like that tightness of control and how Mario moves and navigates the world, Nintendo just got better, essentially, was what ended up happening, right?
Yep.
And with that said, that is why I'm just like, well, 64 introduced some amazing ideas that we still use today. And for nostalgia reasons, I would put it in. But if I'm objectively looking at the game, I don't think it's not as tight as the other games on this list. Like Mario World and Mario 3, those games are old, but they play
tight,
fantastically.
Yeah.
Mario 64, first time doing a 3D Mario game, it's kind of messy. Like
So
moving around is kind of messy.
So let's talk about this one thing, because I just finished playing Odyssey.
Yeah.
And I compare 64 to Odyssey. Like,
For sure.
Right? But here's my kind of like thing that I didn't like about Odyssey. There's so many moons, and the moons are just handed to you. Like, I beat this game in 14 hours. And of course, there's so much more I could do. Like, you can put 300 hours into this game and collect all the moons. The moons felt too easy.
Yep.
I don't even remember a moon that I really struggled with. In Mario 64, let's just put the controls aside for a second, because the controls really aren't that bad. Mario is fluid. Like, if you don't like the N64 controller, that's another thing. But the controls, like if you put diagonal Mario to go, diagonally, he went diagonally. Like the controls were pretty damn good. So the thing is, my point about this is like, you had to work for those stars.
Yep.
And the game was not too punishing, but it was hard. Like getting to the Bowsers in the end, those levels, like the platformer kind of dungeons that lead up to the Bowser, especially the Rainbow Bowser, like that was not easy. It was really hard to get to him. So like, but I didn't struggle in any sort of way to get to any of the bosses or to defeat any of the bosses. Now, I'm not saying difficulty makes the game good.
Yeah.
It just like, it felt like some of it was
I think
just
it's almost like,
handed to me.
and you're right. Odyssey gives you just a bunch of moons, and it's mostly just like, here's another like serotonin boost or dopamine. Yeah. It's just like, here, have another moon, kid.
Yeah.
Oh, you just talked to this human? Here's a moon. But like I said, like we're almost, those two games in particular, like if you want to talk about like the star stuff, like that challenge happens in Odyssey, but afterwards. We've already talked about like how Odyssey is basically, here's the fun version of Odyssey for like 10 to 14 hours. And if you want to chase whatever challenges that you wanted to feel within Super Mario 64, all that kind of stuff, that's there. It's just not in the main game. Yeah. And I think that's fine, because that, if you are a diehard Mario like kind of player, then you're going to chase those anyways.
Yeah.
And this game, it makes it more accessible for people, and I don't think that's a problem at all.
True.
I think one of the main reasons I also like nominate was because in my entire experience of gaming, I've never felt like such a dramatic change in the type of game I'm playing that happened from playing something that was on Super Nintendo to experiencing Super Mario 64. Like all these console generations we've had, we've had better graphics and so on, and better frame rate, but I've never had that same like, oh my God, this is so different and like amazing.
But that's like a generational shift between 2D and 3D. That's not really.
But it was. It also
it benefited from that.
Yeah, but there was also like a lot of other games at that time that tried to imitate Mario 64 that failed.
Yeah.
Of course. And
incredibly.
Yes, definitely. A lot of shitty games that went 3D, and you're like, wait, what is this?
Yeah.
And that's why I feel bad. I don't want to. That's why I'm trying really hard not to bash 64.
What I want to say is, agree with you in the sense that it laid a foundation for games that I felt were better. In my hot take opinion, it's the fourth best 3D like Mario game. There's better ones. And what Brian was saying about difficulty, I really understand that it's a challenge for every star, but I believe there's a Mario game that does that better. And we didn't talk about it. I think Super Mario Sunshine does the difficulty better than 64. I think Super Mario Sunshine, if you're looking for a real challenge in a Mario game, that's where I would go to first. And I think that like not having that on the list and having 64, like I struggle. And like, again, it's so foundational, and without it, we wouldn't even be talking
Right.
really about these games. So it's hard,
But Sunshine also came with its own like technical issues, which is like
Yeah.
it was the first Nintendo game that really came out that like kind of was marred by like these weird technical issues that you don't usually see in Nintendo games.
Yeah.
I love Super Mario Sunshine. I love cleaning up shit and whatever. Like that's so
Exactly.
fun. But if you like really dive into it, you're like, oh wait, this weird stuff that doesn't usually happen in Nintendo games. This is just broken.
Yeah.
Or like technical glitches or just falling through and that kind of stuff.
The only thing I have to say to that is that Mario Sunshine was a really fun game. Another game that I actually 100%, I started to like learn how to speed run it. And the one thing that made that game really stand out were again, like the platforming levels. It wasn't even finding the little sunshines. Like it was really just kind of the platforming levels that were like more difficult. But I would just say like, if we actually had to like take a game out, I would say we'd either have to take out 64 or Odyssey because those two are too similar. They're way too similar. I think Odyssey is the easy pick because it's new and it's got all these new features, but kind of what Dan was talking about, it didn't like, I just finished playing Odyssey. I'm a huge Mario fan, but it didn't wow me. Like it was fun, but like it didn't wow me. And I just felt like I already did a lot of this stuff in 64. And maybe it's because I played so much 64, but like the only thing that Odyssey really has over 64 is smoother controls and you have a lot of cool cosmetics and stuff. But, and like, of course the challenge, I looked into the challenge stars and whatnot, but like, yeah, that comes after the main game. But when a lot of people play the main game, they're not really going to get into that unless they're really diehard looking for a lot of difficulty. Mario 64 forces you to go through all of this. You can't.
I think that's like also a negative too. Like I don't like as
but it's not too hard to get far, right? Because you don't have to. There's so many different levels, right? There's the first, like as soon as you go into the castle, you have like 2 levels on the bottom floor, 2 levels on the left and right, and then you have 2 up top. So it's like you only really need to get a bunch of stars in a few of them, and then you can keep going. Yeah. So you can like maybe there's a level and you're like, oh, this star is way too hard to get. I'll go to another level. I'll find an easier star, and then I have enough stars now to go to Bowser, and then I can go to the next area and I can experience the next world. So it's really hard to say. Like this is actually really tough because like Mario Odyssey, Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, like yeah.
Dan, what do you think about that? Like I will put my feet in the ground. I would die on the hill of Odyssey.
So would I.
Like
I love
there's
that
no
game
way that game
so
would go
much.
away in my mind.
Yeah.
But Dan, go ahead.
I want to keep like it. Yeah, it's hard. I don't want to take either of those two off the list. I feel like there'd be another one I'd want to take off the list.
Which is
okay.
I don't know. Like again, like the two I'd be more so arguing about would be like maybe 3 and RPG.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think for me, the easy answer would be RPG, but that's literally because I haven't played it. But the fact that you're putting on the same ballpark as Paper Mario, Thousand Year Door, and Final Fantasy games makes me very intrigued about it. So I'm very biased. And I
Think
that's
about
the hard
this.
thing.
Like last week, I hadn't touched Odyssey at all. It's like I was really just saving it for like a rainy day, you know, just the right time to do it. But like if I had to choose between 2 games that I wish like that I actually played through, I would rather have played through RPG still to this day over Odyssey. And it's not just because I love RPGs. I actually like more of like the Odyssey style more than I do like Mario RPG. But it's like I remember having way more fun, and like I just played RPG like a year ago, and it's like it's still just so much more stuff that stood out to me that I liked it. So I know I'm kind of like, you know, but my whole point about this is that like consider that you guys haven't played RPG.
Yeah.
Now if you played Paper Mario, you have a good idea, but it's still very unique. It's actually still more unique than Paper Mario. So like if I
have
didn't
to-
play Odyssey,
That's fair. But if I have to be really nitpicky, because now that we're in the weeds about this, is that the Mario RPG stuff, like Paper Mario, even though I do regard it as an amazing, franchise, I value that less than the platformers from Mario. When I think of Mario games, I go to platforming.
Of course, yeah.
And even if I go to Mario, I think of the sports games. The RPG stuff is at the bottom of that list. Even though I love RPG games, it's just not something I'm like, Mario games, RPG. Like, I don't make that connection in my brain.
Yeah.
So
No, that makes sense.
yeah.
Like Mario is all about platforming.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What I want to say, just again, back on Odyssey, something that I think was kind of missed it's just like the pure density of what you can do in a world. I've never played a game that every corner has something. Yeah. Like even in 64 and any of the 3D games, there's empty space, right? Like there's places that they're just kind of there. You can walk through them, whatever. 64, it makes sense because it was the first of its kind. But I think Mario Odyssey perfected the idea that open world games don't have to be huge to be incredibly, incredibly interesting. You don't have to be Skyrim or Breath of the Wild. You don't have to have a map that's like 100 square kilometers. You can have a map that's literally just like a little piece of beach and a little thing in the middle, and there's 60 stars. And yeah, some of them are just sitting there, but 30 of them are hidden in corners in this world that's like whatever. It's like 100 meters by 100 meters. It's crazy that you can fit that much density into something and still make it feel like not believable, but it's an incredible feat in world building that you're able to achieve that density without sacrificing any sort of realness, I'm using air quotes, of the world, if that makes sense. Like it's not just like stuff stacked on top of stuff. It all has its place.
I know moons are easy to come by, but it is one of those things. Like I hate you go into an open world game or any type of game and you're like, I'm just going to go in this corner. I wonder what I'm going to find. And you find literally nothing.
Yeah.
I know Mario will give you the moon, but who cares? I'm saying that's the dopamine thing. It's like, hey man, you travel the corner, here's a fucking moon.
Well, yeah, and let me play the other side of let me play devil's advocate to what I was arguing before, because I will talk about the good things that Odyssey brings. So technically Odyssey is a perfected Mario 64. That's what it comes down to. Because of technology, we've been able to release, they created a better version of Mario 64. The only kind of downfall to Odyssey is that it was easier, but it's still not a downfall because they made up for it with the end game mechanics, right? So having those challenges and stuff. So in the end, I think Odyssey was technically a better 64. Smoother controls, better, more advanced platforming. You're right. Anywhere you went on the map, there was something going on. The themes were just so immersive, way more immersive than, the themes in Mario 64 and stuff. It's just 64 wowed me. So if I'm going to compare things, I'm going to say the wow factor of 64 is what really holds me to it. But technically, I think overall, my best summary, considering what you guys are all saying, is Odyssey is technically a better 64.
And the last thing I'll say about that is we haven't really talked about this too much, was the possessing stuff. That's what truly brought me joy in Super Mario Odyssey. The fact that you can possess basically anything in that game.
Stacking Goombas.
And whatever
fun.
it is. It's there's this, you get to play as the enemies that you've been fighting all these years in Mario.
That Bowser moment's pretty sweet.
Oh my God.
Those are the best.
And even just being a Goomba and stacking Goombas, that little thing is just it's amazing. You just built a whole mechanic off being one enemy type. Or if you're a Pokio, that bird that you can spear people with, and also the front of the wall, and you just fling up. Or if you're a Wiggler, there's all these little, and again, going to the more niche things, when you're literally the embodiment of the letter Mario, you're just letters. Or if you're a meat, I keep going
the
back.
Christmas tree. I loved when you were the tree.
I think that's what really brought me the joy, because you possess them and you give them a little hat and you give them a little mustache, and then you're the Mario version of that thing. And I was just
that was huge, man. That's huge.
Just a big thing for me.
Okay, well, here's the question then. So are we trying to, at this point, iron out, should we keep Odyssey over 64?
No, I think Odyssey's got its feet
Odyssey has to stay.
Okay. Odyssey, I will agree.
I will
should
debate
stay.
64. That's how I feel about 64. It's either 64 or RPG. That's how I feel.
Really,
I have to choose two.
I agree with that. Yeah, I think 3, from what I haven't played enough, but from what I've read, it's amazing. And Super Mario World it's so different from any other kind of 2D scroller game that I don't know if it can be.
If I really had to choose, it'd be RPG. But the only reason I would choose 64 to leave the list is because I think it's so, my love for it is so rooted in nostalgia. Yeah, and that's all it is. It's just I love what it did. But the game itself is not as clean as compare to these other games.
Don't forget though, because more time you put into it, the more you would uncover. There's actually a lot of cool mechanics. There's a special jump 64? That you can do.
And I've done that all, and I agree. All that stuff is amazing.
Mechanically, it still holds up. But if I had to pick, I would say it would either have to be. Man, it's tough. I think RPG needs to stay because it's basically see RPG as Paper Mario. It's either going to be RPG or Paper Mario being in there is very unique. I think 3 was really cool. Don't get me wrong. 3 was awesome. But yeah, it's either going to be between 3 or 64 that needs to get knocked off. Yeah.
And what's yours?
Well, I mean, in my heart, I won't accept that 64 is not would be on this list. But I can accept that the group would want it. They would deem that there would be other ones that should be on there. I think to your point, what you're saying there is that it's kind of it's a reverse Odyssey kind of scenario where RPG is better than the Paper Mario games, whereas in this case, Odyssey is better than 64.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah.
all these other ones we've talked about, they were also on my list, and I would have nominated them sooner over some of the other ones I said, but they got said earlier.
But we all got to consider that,
So I
like,
can-
they're better because of time. That's the only reason. Like, you know, but again, that's...
You think?
That's
Like,
I actually am not sure.
I'm not
I
even sure
think
that's true.
Odyssey, accounting for what I will call inflation, Odyssey is still a better game. And it's so hard to do that. Again, I'm back to sports. Comparing, let's say, like Stan Mikita or Rocket Richard or any of the old hockey players with Sidney Crosby, or even someone like Wayne Gretzky with Sidney Crosby.
Now you're
comparing between eras, or if you, I don't know, what sport, you like tennis, comparing someone like
use the
John McEnroe.
Use the Toon Squad in Space Jam. I'll understand that better.
Comparing Michael Jordan's tough, but like comparing someone like Wilt Chamberlain, who was just way taller and just smashed 100 points every single game. Not every, but he did smash 100 points one game in basketball because he was just so much better than the competition. Comparing him to what he would do now, where everyone's 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", 7 feet, working out every day with. That's really tough, right? It's really hard to compare between eras, and you have to take into account what has changed in the landscape. And if I personally do that, I still think Odyssey is a better game, but it's actually impossible to do objectively. Like,
Yes,
it's
of
impossible
course.
to actually...
The lists are all
Like,
subjective.
tech-
We'll never get it right.
Well, for era stuff,
Yeah.
what you could technically do is look at their limitations at that time and see what games could have inside them, and then look at
Yeah.
limitations to now, because Mario 64 was like, if they had the ability to make it like Odyssey, they would have made 64 like Odyssey.
Of course they would. Of
right?
course they
Like,
would. But like,
being able to control people.
it's
and
really the
stuff.
thing is we're making this list right now, right?
Yeah,
At
yeah.
this
And that
point in
makes sense,
time,
yeah.
how do we compare these lists? Because I will say there's a lot of games from back in the day that are better than some of the games these days, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean that the newer technology always means better. Again, I think Super Mario World is one of the best games of all time.
Yes.
And that will always stand true in my mind. So,
Well, I have a question for
yeah.
you, Tung. What makes you like Super Mario World over Super Mario Bros. 3? What do you like about World
that's
more?
tough because I love
Let's
Super
talk
Mario
about the
Bros.
differences that you like.
Well, World has, first of all, I always go back to like the color and the imagination of World. I think they just go different places. Every single level in World feels really different, and the amount of secrets and things that you can do is amazing. And the amount of enemy types that come, it really feels like World is a world. They really
Yeah.
brought it to life.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, oh man, Super Mario can be anything. They have all these cool enemies, and I have the mobility and powers to navigate through this. And it made me feel really good. It also has really good music, and I really want to emphasize the music in Super Mario World, which is like, oh wow, this really brings me back. But I do love 3. But I have to choose. It would be, I think World does it better than 3.
What do you like about 3? Because like I'll share. Like I like the thing I like about 3 is that you didn't have a lot of different paths that you could take. It was literally like you could take path 1 or path 2. So I liked that because it was the first Mario game that's just not like, you know, oh, I have to go and play these levels.
Yeah.
I could go here and I could then take this shortcut. And if I so happen to find that secret in that level, oh my God, I'm skipping 3 levels right now. That was really cool.
Yeah.
You know, not a lot of games did that at that time. So I really liked that. It was a little bit more open. And I loved the 2-player aspect. It was very challenging,
cool.
like playing my brother. And who
You can play
can get
2-player in
further.
Mario World too, though.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
Oh, also it had Yoshi.
Yeah.
Yoshi was huge in World.
But the thing is, like, I feel like World is a better 3. It's just like I liked that you had a little bit more openness, but World has more openness. And then it's like, okay, well, I like the power-ups. The thing that I think the only thing that really makes 3 stay like one of the top games are the power-ups.
Yeah.
That's what really makes it. It's the level designs were really good too, but Super Mario World, in my opinion, did better level designs.
Yes, level design in World is definitely better.
Like the
I agree.
platforming,
Yes,
right?
exactly. I agree with all
Like
this.
Donut Land, like right off the start, Donut Land
Yes.
and World, super fun.
The
Like,
world, yes.
Illusion Forest and
Exactly.
Super Mario World, like those had some really cool designs and cool platforming. So, but
Beating 3 made me feel like a better gamer though, because there
Yeah.
was no saving. I know your save's coming it right now, but it made me
Yeah.
feel like a better gamer, and I think I enjoyed that. It gave me that rush. I was like, yeah, I finally beat 3 if I did it correctly, and I felt really good about it. And where World you can save, so it's fine.
yeah.
With that said, though, I know we're kind of spinning our wheels
Yeah.
here. What are we thinking on our end? Let's come up with the final. If you had to knock one off the list, What do you have? Dan.
I can accept if you guys want to shave off 64. It's okay.
Okay, I'm just gonna go for it because fuck it.
You're gonna say Mario Kart? I'll fucking kill you.
That Mario Kart is like an itch that I can't scratch.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying, and I think it needs to be there because I think it's a defining
We need a card on
series,
this fucking list.
and it could be the best one.
Yeah.
My brain is just poisoned with nostalgia. 3 is knocked off for me.
And for me, it's 64.
I'm gonna knock off 3, and this is the reason. There's so many people out there that won't be able to beat the game. That's simply why. Like you can't enjoy some of the power-ups that are like amazing in the later worlds simply because you won't make it that far. And even to date, like a lot of people will struggle. So I'm gonna say I want to knock off 3. Actually, like I would want to knock off Mario Kart.
Yeah, same. Fuck
I would want, but here's the thing.
No. Keep Mario Kart. Yeah.
I love the Mario Karts, but we're talking some big titles here. Like,
Yeah.
we have to choose between Super Mario Bros. 3 and Super Mario World. It's like I actually see those ones like way better than a Mario Kart. Like, so
I've just had so much fun
Mario
playing
Kart
Mario
is like
Kart.
a
that's the thing.
defining
And it's
Yeah.
unique, and it's like I want the list to have that uniqueness. That's also why I want to like push for Super Mario RPG because it
Yeah.
really is that thing that was
And that's
so
the
unique,
only
right?
reason why I'm still, being like, yes, I'm okay with this RPG thing. But if you're going after Mario Kart, I'm going to lay down the hammer on your RPG.
I'm an acolyte of RPG now. I've never played it, but you've convinced me.
Like, it's,
I'm a disciple.
Dude.
So
Okay, so what we have here is what it sounds like. 2 64s, 2 3s,
No,
and
no,
this
wait.
Well,
He-
no, I'll change my vote because like I was saying that thinking that everyone here is on board
For
64.
64s? So 3 3s?
So I would say 3 then.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
would
And
shave 3
I'm
off.
which is crazy.
It is crazy. It
Yeah.
seems nuts
Yeah.
to do. I feel very horrible about it.
I feel like Mario Kart should get knocked off. Like, but here's the thing. It's like there's so much fun. I still
need a
play.
cart. We
I was
need a
playing,
cart.
dude.
Yeah,
and that's
the
the thing.
best
I
cart.
agree. We need a cart. I was playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe just like yesterday. So
Yeah.
like, it's a game that's still really fun. So I'm gonna stick with 3. But it's just like, oh my god, I'm actually knocking off Super Mario Bros. 3 from a top Mario list. It's weird. It's weird to
It
me.
feels weird.
Yeah.
It does feel very weird to me.
Oh, it feels so bad.
Yeah, I know. But we
3
have to
over
know.
64 over 3. You guys are nuts. That's crazy.
But we have Super Mario World.
I know. But 3 is a better playing game than 64. I don't know. That's crazy to me.
It's like, okay,
Mechanically, it's so much better.
we all like Super Mario Bros. 3.
We all like all these games.
because we love to play that little flute and get right to the end. You could do the same thing as Super Mario World. You can go up to the Star World.
That's
and you
not
can
why
go
I
right
like
to-
that game, though.
No, I know. But a lot
That-
of people were like, "Oh my god, the flute!" And it's like, I was just so surprised I stumbled upon it as a
yeah,
kid.
I think that we're not really here to objectively rate games.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
it's 4 people, so we're not going to crowdsource. And like
well,
64.
it's also for this table, but yes.
Well, yeah, no, in the sense that like 64 might not be a better objective game than 3 in terms of the way it's built, but
Yeah.
just like the memories that it stokes for people, I think are really important. And I think it lays the foundation. And I agree that like from what I played of Super Mario 3, it's a better made game, but it doesn't give you the sense of wonder. And like wonder
Yeah.
in the most
Like the surfing, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I mean, like
I
surfing
will-
on that Koopa shell.
Yeah.
Come on, that was so sick.
I will give you that. That is something that I can concede to for sure. And I know like Super Mario 3 is rated among the best Mario games for many people.
Yeah.
So this seems like sacrilege in many ways.
And that's the thing.
Yeah.
64 is right up there too. I had to take a look at a few just to get an idea, and 64 is right up there.
All right. So what we have is Super Mario World, Super Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Super Mario Odyssey, Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars, and Super Mario 64.
That feels right.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's right.
Again, a little part of my heart was ripped out when we took 3 out.
I feel
but-
bad, but the show must go on.
Can I propose an order?
Oh.
Can I just jump to it?
Jump to an order, but I'm not sure if I'm
I know. Okay. This is what I'm proposing. I can say number 5, RPG. Number 4, 64. Number 3, and I think this is gonna be debated. Kart.
Okay.
Bad.
Number 2, World, and number 1, Odyssey.
I think
I think your first 2 are right.
I think my first
Yeah.
2 are.
Wait, 5.
I feel strong about
5
that.
RPG, 4 64.
I think it's the Kart and 64. That's where people might.
let's start with 5. I love where we're starting. I think RPG.
I don't like where we're starting.
I think 5 should be cart. To be completely honest,
I agree.
I think it should be cart.
5 should be cart. Yep.
I can't. That
I
doesn't
totally,
make sense to me.
No.
I totally agree with that cart being 5.
I know you guys do. I know
I'm okay
you do.
with
You're
cart being 4, not 5.
I can't see. Now we're in the top 5, so like
Yeah.
every game on this list is great, but RPG came onto this list with nobody playing it, and you made a very passionate argument about it, and I think it's fantastic. But now I'm getting
That means it edges onto 5.
Yeah.
and I'm just like, I feel like it's like good enough to be on the list. I'm so cool with that.
Yeah.
But now we're getting to the games that like, okay, now I got to really compare these 5, and I cannot see my life unless you want to put 64 at 5.
Well, here's the thing. Like the argument I have about RPG is that you guys haven't played it yet, and like Dan played it a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's like if you actually take the time to play it, it doesn't take that many hours to beat. It's
Sure.
going to be like, I don't know, 20 to 30 hours. It's an RPG.
Yeah.
If you play it, I'm very confident you guys would want to play it again, and you'll technically put more hours into it than you would cart.
I don't think so. There's no way. I played so much cart throughout my entire life. It's probably one of the most played games I've ever played in my life.
Well, how many hours do you have on 8?
Oh, I
Deluxe?
don't know. I'd have to boot it up. But
Yeah.
that's a game that I would play with a party,
Yeah.
right? Like I would, and Mario Kart is a party game
Yeah,
in my
yeah.
mind. So I'm not booting up RPG to
True.
play with people in my. It's
But
a different like realm of games, right?
Yeah.
I think it's pretty fair, like, to just keep RPG at 5, just in the sense that a ton of us haven't played it.
True.
I really want cart at 4 then, though. Please don't push it up
I
any
don't think
higher.
cart should be high. Like, okay, if you guys want to put RPG at 5, I'm okay with that because again, like, it's not that popular.
Okay.
It was the end of life for.
I'm
Super
fine with this
Nintendo.
compromise.
I'm
fine
okay with switching around cart and 64 out of the way.
But cart needs to be at the bottom. Like, it definitely can't like far surpass
Sure.
RPG.
I'm okay with that
Okay.
compromise.
I am
And
too, yeah.
I think
Okay,
3
yeah.
has to be 64 then.
Okay.
I think there's like I don't know. I don't want to get. I'm not as passionate about Super Mario World, and I really like Mario Odyssey. I don't know. I think you can make the case for both, and
All
I
right.
don't know if I want to wait.
Let's
into
hear it. You don't have to make the passionate argument yet.
Okay.
All I just want to hear is what your number 1 game is between World and Odyssey. Go.
Odyssey.
World.
Odyssey.
World.
So this is the
But
tough
I
part.
will be honest with you. I can completely switch gears between the two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Like
can
on a-
as well, especially just playing through Odyssey. Like I'm going to go back and I'm going to finish the rest of all this extra stuff. So like, again, now that we're in the future and we have all of these well-developed games with like deeper mechanics and more thought put into them and whatnot, Odyssey is a better game overall just because of its current date and what it has. But like, if you were to compare like World, I don't know, it's actually still really hard for me to say Odyssey is better overall.
Yeah,
but like,
I don't agree with that.
like Odyssey has more.
Odyssey has more. It's like what World did, everything that they went for, they got. And like I
Yeah.
said, I think it's
Yeah.
a perfect game, truly. Whatever concept they're like, let's try this, let's try that.
Yeah.
And then it all came together and there's no like, there's nothing.
I'm pretty
that I can
stuck
really
with
nitpick
like
about.
World being number 1. Exactly what you're saying, because it's like again, the point I was just trying to make earlier is just the fact that like Odyssey is so good because we have so much more technology now, and like if they had the same technology back then, I feel like Super Mario World, even though it's a 2D at that time, let's say it would still be a 2D, but we have this advanced technology, it would be better developed than Odyssey. And Odyssey is like the 3D, but like, you know, open world 3D. But like, I don't know. Super Mario World is the definition of Mario games, and I think it should stay to number 1.
Super Mario World is Wilt Chamberlain. Mario Odyssey is LeBron James.
Does that mean it's sports?
I just like. Actually, like,
Wait.
I think this is actually why I got banned, because I can't have stop talking about sports.
Let's try Mighty Ducks references from the movies.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna say, Super Mario World is Paul Correa, not the movies. Fuck the movies. Paul Correa,
No, is this-
Timu Solani.
Who's Coach Bombay?
But I wouldn't be super hung up putting World first. I like it. I like the idea of putting it first.
And I love.
Here's
Odyssey
one you
to-
might get. I think I understand what you're saying. So
I'm
I
just
think
trying
what
to
you're saying is
fuck around.
Super Mario World is King Piccolo.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. But
King Piccolo?
King Piccolo, sure.
Dragon Ball
Why
Z.
not?
Or
Dragon Ball.
Dragon Ball, sorry.
Whereas Odyssey is, and he's not evil. Why am I blanking on his name right now?
just
the
describe
gray alien. You know.
Jiren.
Jiren.
Yeah.
He's Jiren. That's what he's saying.
Yeah,
I don't know
Yeah,
if
he
I-
is saying
In terms
that.
of
He is
yeah,
saying
that's
that.
what he's saying. Yeah.
That's what he's saying.
King Piccolo. Oh, I see.
You know what I mean? Like
King
okay.
Piccolo was the be-all end-all in,
He was.
in
Right,
Dragon Ball, right?
Super powerful.
Yeah.
Let's
right?
not bore the audience with the
No,
Dragon Ball.
I actually really like that like tying together of analogies.
Yeah.
Here's a better analogy. Super Mario Odyssey is number 2. Super Mario World is number 1.
Maybe I can throw some like cool little tidbits about Super Mario World, like some just to shout out some cool power ups. Like, do you remember the pea balloon? If you got the pea balloon, it actually maintained what your power up was, so you could have, for example, the feather cape, and then you can get the pea balloon, and it just blows you up, and then you just kind of float across. Like introducing that into a video game as a power up to progress through a specific level. That's some big brain stuff. And that was some really like, you just wouldn't see that sort of stuff in a video game. Like what Tuong was saying is like they took a lot of leaps and they really took a lot of risks with developing Super Mario World. And I think they nailed it. They're like, let's try this. And it just was perfect.
It's perfect.
So like with Odyssey, again, the game has so many good things about it, but there's just like I can just name off a few things I didn't like, and it's just like I'm trying to think of something I didn't like in Super Mario World, and I can't think of anything I didn't like.
Yeah.
I loved everything about the game,
Agree.
so that's why it's my number one.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't want to. I never ever want to nitpick Super Mario Odyssey because I do love it.
Great game, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it'd be
still,
like my second child.
Yeah.
But you always have a feelings for your first child. That's what I've been told. That's what I've been told. I don't know. I'm not a father.
That's the other thing. I got into like heavier video gaming later.
Yeah.
So Odyssey sticks out in my mind because like I really didn't have, like I said, I just had a Game Boy until I got a GameCube. And even then, like I just played GameCube games. So I didn't end up playing Super Mario World until I was much older.
How
So-
about this? Super Mario World is the Game Boy, and Odyssey is the GameCube. That's kind of how I see it. It's just like the Game Boy actually was so amazing.
Revolutionary, yeah.
So, like, dude, it had Super Mario Land 2, which was
We
the
didn't
first
talk about-
game.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was the first game
Christ.
to introduce Wario, and, like, it was so good. And, like, platforming on the Game Boy was just, like, next level. It's like, everyone believed that video games had to be played at home, but then it's like, now you can play video games on the go. That was like, oh my God, right? So anyways, that's my comparison.
I can't believe it. Guys, we made our list. Wow, what a journey we've just went on. I can't believe Super Mario Brothers 3 is not on this list. But let's bring
crazy.
it home. We have Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars as number 5. Number 4, Super Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Number 3, Super Mario 64. Number 2, Super Mario Odyssey, and number 1, Super Mario World, and number 0, Ring Fit Adventure. So good. The true number 1. Guys, Jesus Christ. We just went through an entire journey, but before we wrap it up, I know it's a long cast, but we just got to keep going here. Don't have to give me your spiel about it. Literally just say the honorable mentions that you have, and we'll just go one by one around the circle with any remaining games that were not said, including, for me, I had Mario Kart Double Dash.
Yes, thank you for finally
Yes.
saying it. I had Super Mario Strikers.
Mario is missing.
Wow.
You guys know what that game is?
Yes.
That was gonna be my dishonorable mention.
Oh,
Dan, what do you have?
We already kind of talked about it, but Super Mario Land.
Wow. Mario Kart DS.
great game.
Yoshi's Island. You can't take it away from me.
I'm taking it away from you.
You can't
Doesn't
take it
count.
away from me.
Doesn't
Yoshi's
count.
Island.
Yoshi's Island's amazing. I'm taking it away from you.
Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins. That's the first game that introduced Wario.
Wow.
Does Donkey Kong Country?
No.
Donkey Kong, not Donkey Kong Country, but Donkey Kong,
Nope.
where you play as Mario.
Nope.
That doesn't count.
Nope, there's no Mario in
He's
that.
not in the title.
Not in the title.
That's right.
We have one ground rule.
Okay. Rats. Okay.
Anything else you have?
No,
That's it?
Good. Yeah.
I want to say Mario Maker 2.
Sunshine is huge for me. I didn't really know about the glitches.
Yeah.
So
It's Super Mario Maker 2. But
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay, it's okay.
It's implied. It's implied.
Yeah, I mean, we already said it, but Paper Mario 64, and then Paper Mario the 1,000-Year Door.
Mario Power Tennis for the GameCube.
I still have more too. I have Mario Golf Toadstool Tour,
Yep.
which I really liked.
Nice.
Yeah.
Great game. Mario Party 2.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Mario and Luigi Bowser Inside Story.
All right, I feel like we're playing like a game of like the drinking game where you just have to keep saying like something out of the category.
You have to.
Yeah, so I'm gonna bow out. I think
Okay,
that's,
great.
That's all of them for
it,
me.
That's it. I only have 2 more.
I had a list of 25. That's why I still had some. But sorry. No. Okay. Yeah. Actually, that's it.
That's it.
Yeah, we got them all. Wow.
3D Land, 3D World, Super Mario 3D Land, 3D World. Those were
Yeah.
you have the DS version as well as 3DS version as well as the Wii U 3D World, and then Dr. Mario.
That was a good game.
I've never played.
No,
that.
nothing.
I've never played it.
So that was, I rented that as a kid, and I was so confused by what was going on, and I was like so sad I rented it.
Yeah,
But I
wanted
hear
to
it's
say
so good.
Mario Tennis for 64. You said for the Game Boy Advance, right?
The Mario Tennis.
Yeah.
GameCube.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love
okay.
the GameCube
It's the best one.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Mario
And
Tennis.
it's the best one for sure.
So
Yes.
good.
So
So
good.
good.
Guys, we freaking did it. What a journey. What a journey indeed. Before we get going and saying ta-ta to all of you toadstools out there, is it weird that like in one of the games that Toad turned into Peach as a power-up? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that is weird. What
That's
is
more.
that from?
That's more deviant art, baby.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was like the
Bowsette.
Bowsette is DeviantArt. But it's like Toad like got a mushroom, and as soon as it hit the mushroom, they didn't turn bigger. They just turned to Peach.
Wow.
Super
So
weird. Speaking of weird, we have Alex Toth in front of me, of course. Thank you for being on the cast.
You're very welcome. It was a blast. I actually like.
I'm glad we got
I feel
to get in
like
the thick of it.
like when you run a long distance and you have like the endorphins, like that's what I feel I have right now that we got through.
You're
this
gonna play all the
journey.
Mario games
Yeah.
afterwards.
Actually, I really want to. Yeah.
Great. You're gonna go home just play
Mario
baseball.
RPG.
Yeah. More baseball.
More baseball.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play Mario RPG and then loads up baseball.
Yeah, exactly. Alex, do you have any plugs for the people? Do you want them to know about anything going on in your life? Or even if it's like a charity or a TV show or something that you're doing, what do you want to share for the people at home?
If anyone wants math tutoring, hit me up. I'm fucking good at it. And I need money because I'm in school. Otherwise, no, that was great. Thanks a lot, Tuong. I had a
Thank you,
blast.
Alex. Of course, we have the original jump man himself, Brian Costa. Thank you for being on the cast.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hey, thank you for being so prepared with all the Mario lore that none of us knew. That's great.
You know, the only plug I have is that it's not even really a plug. It's just like I've been playing video games since I could pick up a controller. I think the first memory I have is when I was like 3 years old. Now, it wasn't good, but like I've been playing video games ever since, even through high school and stuff, sports and whatnot. Yeah. Just love video games. And I just want to shout out that Mario games have brought me so much joy in my life. They're just such well-developed games. Thank you for being a thing. So.
Thank you, Mario. And thank you, Wario. No. Wario's fine.
Wario's
Well, thank you, Brian. And of course, we have Wadan in front of me. Dan, thanks for being on the cast again.
Thanks for having me
It's
again.
been a while.
Yeah.
What do you have for the people at home?
One more time, I just want to represent the top 5 Amazon affiliate link. Super easy. If you have to buy anything through Amazon, just go to top 5, find the affiliate link.
Well, go to Pod Cavern.
Pod Cavern.
Yeah,
Pod
that's right,
Cavern.
that's right.
Find the affiliate link, and it doesn't cost you anything to do it, and it helps out this podcast.
Wow.
Wait, I have a question about that. So even if they're buying anything on Amazon,
Anything.
Yeah, anything.
all they have to do is
Click on the link.
Click on the link, and it
And guess
supports
what?
this.
Amazon's so generous that sometimes if they buy something, they give us nothing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Jeff
they're-
Bezos needs to keep it for himself.
Yeah, let me give you the peek behind the door. If you buy like a several $100 thing, I could get $0. It completely depends on what you guys buy. I don't understand. I'm not gonna pretend. But thank you, Dan.
no problem.
I mean, we already had the plug section for that in the middle. So
Well,
this is
you know,
a double plug. This is
Double
fantastic.
plug.
Double plug.
That's what I bring to this podcast.
That's what you're all about. Is the double plug.
Double plug.
And of course, I'm your host, Tuong, or sometimes Mario. I'm losing my voice because it's so late in the night now. Yeah, find the rest of the shows in the Pod Cavern. This is Ranked Top 5 List of Stuff That Don't Matter. We have the Improv Punch Up. We have Talking Tongue. Heroes Don't Do Paperwork. Cinema Saves the World, and more to come. Does anyone want to give us a sign out for the people at home here? Woohoo! Damn, that's so much better than mine. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Wah.